Do you live for Sunday dinner and that slow-cooked all-day flavor of a pot roast that falls apart with a dull spoon? Thanks to Omaha Steaks, I'm never shy about the proteins when it comes to Sunday dinners at our house. Every steak is aged to perfection to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. Get 50% off the world's best everyday protein. Go to omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their semi-annual sale. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code YUM at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code YUM at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. Go to https://omahasteaks.com to get 50% off site-wide during their semi-annual sale. And use promo code YUM at checkout for an extra $35 off. Minimum purchase may apply.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Hello, this is Zack Sabre Jr., New Japan Cup winner 2018. And you're listening to Keeping It Strong Style with my mates. Enjoy.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ASA podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith and Chris Samsa. On today's show, we'll review the New Beginning USA and the conclusion of Fantastica Mania and preview New Japan Cup and cover all its news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network and Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the network's podcasts and newsletter over at socialsuplex.com. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. And we are streaming live right now on patreon.com/KI Strong Style. If you want to watch our show live or listen without ads, sign up at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. Josh, Chris, how you guys doing?
While Jeremy Donovan appears.
Yes.
We were not expecting you, but
Swerve,
you are here. Swerve.
Huge swerve. Yeah, I was getting the Sunday scaries last night. I was like, oh my God, I've got to put this show together. What the fuck? I got to watch the tutorial videos. and then suddenly I was out for a walk and I looked down at my phone and it's like, what time's going to be, best for you guys tomorrow? From Jeremy. And I was like, oh, Jeremy's like really hands-on with this production this week. Like, even though he's not going to be there, he's
coordinating it,
coordinating the time. He knows I'm going to like drop the ball here. And then I open up the rest of the message, and he was like, "Oh, actually, even though in less than 24 hours my child will be born, I'm still going to show up for the, for the recording." And I was like, "Hell yeah!"
Well, yeah, they're
taking care of his other son.
The whole week, the hospital and the doctors were going back and forth like Monday, Tuesday, and so it was like literally it took forever for them to finally like get on the same page, and they finally locked down for Tuesday. It's like, all right, well, if it's Tuesday, then I can hop on one more week here before I take a little bit of time off. So,
and then if you have to leave in the middle of the show, then fuck it, that's it. The show ends. We will cut off transmission.
Just mid-sentence.
Yeah. Well, if it'll just be like a super long file, I'll just leave the recording and you guys can keep going, and I'll have to come back and like.
You come back in like 2 days. Yeah. And you're like, oh man, Samsa, log out.
I think I have enough memory. Yeah, I have 124 hours left on my current memory card.
That should do it.
Yeah.
I could talk. I could keep going.
Well, I'm glad I am here for our annual New Japan Cup preview. And we've got a couple other things to jump into. First, we got to do February Wrestle of the Month and Match of the Month. And as our new tradition, we have not talked about it yet.
You know what's funny is like you before we jumped on the show, you're like, anyone got any questions on the rundown? I was like, nope, because I haven't looked at the rundown yet, so I got no questions. But right before you clicked play, I was like, wait, are we doing February Wrestler and Match of the Month? I wasn't sure. And then I go and open up the rundown, and I was like, oh shit. Like he's already got picks in here. And so I've been like kind of scouring like the history of like the televised shows from February to see like how did I feel about this month. But you know, I'm gonna defer to your judgment here. I could probably be nitpicky and, you know, throw some other candidates out there, but I feel these are, you might need to sell me on Wrestler of the Month a little bit here. I'm not sure that I agree on that, but you tell me.
All right. So for Wrestler of the Month, I went with El Sky Team of Mystico and Mascara Dorada. And that's just kind of based off of pure volume. First of all, you know, they worked the majority of February with there not being many normal, quote unquote, New Japan shows this month. And they've had some of the highlight matches, you know, the tag team, the semifinal match and the tag team tournament was great. The finals was a pretty good match. And then the Mystico versus Soberano and the Hechicero versus Dorada matches were really, really great singles matches, some highlights from the tour. So I just felt like they had their working boots on the whole tour when they could have definitely been lazy the whole tour, and were definitely the highlights in a month that was kind of divided between New Beginning in Osaka, New Beginning in USA, and these guys were out there for multiple weeks, multiple nights, really, you know, busting their butts.
What about Old Bolton winning 2 titles in the month?
Yeah, you could throw Bolton as well, and he had the match with Hartley Jackson and Corkin that rocked.
That's why we should have talked about this before.
Well, it's not final. As I said, we can talk. You know, this is just deciding.
It's final. It's on the rundown. It's final. So, no, I'm just playing. You actually sold me. I think you're absolutely right. The fact that they had those 2 really great tag matches, plus the 2 really good singles matches, and a lot of volume on the tour. So that makes sense to me. I'm not sure that I like it being these gaijins out here getting these awards. You know, these invaders, but you know, it is what it is.
And then match of the month have KOB versus Yuya Uemura and Shota Umino for New Beginning in Osaka.
That's probably the right answer, but I will tell you, my knee-jerk reaction was, are we sure it's better than Hechicero and Mascara Dorada? It's a close one. But no, yeah, that's probably the right pick. Is this the match Dave famously went 5 on?
I think he went like 5 1/4, didn't he?
I don't know.
5 1/2, something like that.
Better than every single match that ever took place in the history of the business before 2016. Okay.
Hey, Yuto's got Dave high on wrestling, you know, so he went high on the stars.
No, the tech division's doing great, except for when you get AOG in there, but it's doing really, really, really good.
Well, next up, so speaking of GOA, we're going to talk about the New Beginning USA that happened this past Friday. We have a question here from Aspiring Shoulder. Which will happen first, the Japanese government acknowledging the cursed legacy of Yasukuni Shrine and tearing it down, or NJPW getting better production crews for the U.S. shows? What did you guys think about the production of this U.S. show?
I don't know who that person is with the cursed legacy, but it's that. Whatever it is that. That's the answer.
If it's worse than the New Japan America production, then it's got to be really fucking bad. Whoever that is, whatever it is, that's got to be god awful abysmal.
I do feel like sometimes the U.S. show production is like palatable. There have been some that are pretty good. I actually think when I go back and watch the Chicago shows, those usually look pretty good. Those are obviously shows that are pretty well attended, and they do big business on them too. So I feel like maybe there's an extra level of investment to some of those. But man, we were really back to, I don't know, what was the peak year of that? I mean, it was 22, 23, when like you were really getting like, you know, could we at least get up to GCW level vibes out of some of this production stuff? You know, at least you could hear everything and see almost everything that you needed to see on this show. So at least they got the core of it down. We didn't lose audio, and we didn't like you saw the whole show. But that's about all I could say about it. I mean, I wish they were better. I knew a bunch of people in the room that said the show felt great. But yeah, I mean, if you go back and watch it, then that's got to be disappointing when you're part of a crowd. You're proud that like we showed up tonight, right? And when that's not truly represented, it's a bummer. So unfortunate. But I have a certain nostalgia for badly produced pro wrestling, because I used to watch stuff I like downloaded from like Kazaa or whatever, like back in the day on like my real player. So I don't know. It doesn't bother me, but it's certainly a talking point, and a reasonable talking point.
Yeah, I actually didn't think it was that bad. I mean, I thought, like, obviously it wasn't like the greatest in the world, but I think back to some of those other strong pay-per-views that we had like back in the day that were really, really bad. It was like they bought a handheld camera from Walmart, quality video, you couldn't hear anything, or it was too hot and the coloring was all off. Like, I think this was like an average production, which obviously you want better than average, but compared to previous stuff and some of those strong TV tapings, like, I thought this was passable.
I didn't.
It's so interesting. The taped stuff they used to do, the pandemic taped strong episodes used to look great.
Yeah.
And then once they had to go live, it's been a mess.
That's the thing is, New Japan's like production in the States is entirely dependent on whoever it is they're outsourcing the production to, So like when they used to have like the Access team, it was fucking incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah. And when they used to work with ROH's team, sometimes it would be really, really good. And then, now it's a crapshoot, whether depending on who they're going to get from what region of the country and on what day and yada, yada, yada. That's why when you said like the Chicago shows haven't been that bad, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. There's, a lot of like indies out there. Van Damage 6738 says the cameraman had a dirty lens most of the show. Such a simple fix. Get your shit together. And I fully agree. Here's the thing, Jeremy. I do agree with you. This was much better than some of the lowest of the lows that we got during like the pandemic, and even, prior to the pandemic when they were, trying to branch out post Access TV. But that's not a high benchmark to clear. And to be clear here, this is supposed to be like an arena show, pay-per-view level production from one of the major players in professional wrestling. Like, there's really, not to like undermine like say CMLL, but like in terms of production and like far reach, there's really just three main players that are out there, and it's WWE, AEW, and New Japan. And New Japan obviously does not have all the bells and whistles that those guys have, but at the very bare minimum, a clear picture, a steady camera, and passable lighting and sound has to be like part of that litmus test of like major league production. And when you're getting like sunned by like Chris said, like a GCW level show or like a TNA show, we've got problems here. And this just didn't pass that test. And for me, it's like, sure, there were people in the audience, and I've heard the same thing from people that they felt like the audience was receptive and pretty lively, but they didn't do a good job miking that audience. So it was pretty hard to tell a lot of the time, honestly. And for me, I'm a vibes guy, and the vibes of the show, except for a few, rare occasions, it didn't come through to where it felt like this was a hot audience, even if they were, in fact, enthralled with what was going on.
Yeah, I definitely had a really big problem with the audience in general. I felt it was definitely a WWE North American style crowd where they're, every match they're trying to get a "This is awesome" chant going. They're chanting meat. They're, all these guys, they're doing all the traditional North American chants, and I'm just like, what are we doing here?
We can call it a WWE North American crowd all we want, but I heard plenty of chants that I only hear in AEW. That was a AEW crowd, sir. That's what that shit was. I don't need to hear about fucking Don Callis in the middle of a El Fantasmo TV title 15-minute match. It's only 15 minutes. Let these guys try to get whatever they can out of that.
Well, it's only supposed to be 15 minutes.
Stupid fucking baby face.
Well, let's jump into the show here. So, show kicked off. We had the Rebel David Finlay defeating Mr. No Days Off Fred Rosser in 12 minutes and 20 seconds.
That did happen.
How are we feeling?
It's a match that happened.
Do we feel once he won that match? Because I know that there was a lot of talk where it's like, hey, if he wins this match,
that's so outdated.
No, of course, it's not necessarily a key indicator, but it's gonna be more likely that he sticks around by winning the match than if not.
David Finlay was never going to lose to Fred Rosser.
Yeah.
Like, no matter the circumstances.
You gotta go out on your back.
No, you don't. No one goes out on their back except Tanahashi or, big retirements. Sure. But like, you don't have to go out on your back. And if you're going to go out on your back, it has to be to someone who fucking matters. Like, and I don't mean to say Fred Rosser doesn't matter. He's a legend of the game. I want to see him in a G1. Like, I support Fred Rosser, but like in the storyline of David Finlay, right? In the storyline of David Finlay and New Japan in Japan, right? Fred Rosser is not a player in that game, right? And like I said, like it was an interesting match to book, but it felt like one of those matches that they booked only just because they could, right? They got Fred. Fred's around. He's a great wrestler. And they planted some seeds here for Fred in the backstage stuff too, where he starts talking about wanting in the G1. So yeah. You got to imagine that means something, and I'm hyped on that. But to David Finlay, Fred Rosser is not, a core piece to his puzzle or a piece to his story. So going out on your back means putting over the guy that matters in your lane, in your world, right? And I don't even really know who that would be for Finlay right now, but it's not Fred Rosser. They don't have major interactions.
Well, he already did it. It was Callum Newman. That was the meaningful.
Yeah, I guess.
Loss.
I guess.
But
right. So people looking at the results of this as a indication of whether Finlay's staying or going, I think are overthinking it a little bit.
No, I totally agree with that. And you said that Fred Rosser's not a player over in Japan. Well, here in the States, sir, he's a primetime player. So
$1 million.
That's probably why that is probably why that word came into my brain.
No, I didn't ask that question in the sense of like, oh, did you guys feel? Basically, it was just a vibes. Like, once it was done, did you get the feeling based on what played out in the match and the post match and everything? Did you get the feeling like guys sticking around, or who the fuck knows?
He keeps everything so close to the chest. I mean, he really does. And like there's some, obviously we all know people are talking about what's up with David Finlay. And everyone's got different pieces of news, but like, I don't think any of that's coming from David Finlay. That dude is kayfabe till he dies.
Yeah, I see.
When
like,
it comes down to it,
I've heard things
on screen at least for sure.
Yeah.
I don't even know what we're allowed to talk about because I don't know what is out there. I don't talk to anybody. I know things, but I don't know what.
I don't think there's anything that's out there that's not behind a paywall. And to me, when you talk about stuff and it's only behind a paywall, it's because you're protecting whether or not it's true. Because you're only talking to your own audience, right? Once it goes out beyond the paywall, once it's on a public thing or something that has pretty wide reach, then I think there's some people with some confidence behind what they're hearing. And right now, everything everyone's talking about with David Finlay is behind paywalls. So to me, what that says is no one's confident in anything. At least no one.
In what I know. but does that mean
I'm
we should be the
confident-
idiots who say it, or no?
That's up to you guys. This is not my show, and Jeremy's going to be gone for a little while, so really it's on you, Josh, as to what you want to deal with. But yeah, I mean, I've heard some stuff that is plausible, is believable, that I trust, that I truly believe to be true, but it's still, no one has indicated to me, at least, what David Finley's decision is going to be. But people have indicated what his options are, and a little bit of maybe how he's feeling about his options, just based on the fact that he's still weighing them. So, you know, with all that said, you guys go forward with whatever you want to go forward with, but man, that dude is keeping it close. And I respect that, like mad respect for that, because he's not winking at the camera and saying like, I'll be back. And he's not winking at the camera saying, put me in your Hall of Fame. He's, he's just figuring life out. And that makes sense given, he's in his mid-30s. He has a kid. He's got, he's got some life changes happening. I'm looking at Jeremy on the screen right now. You take stock and you try to figure stuff out and you see what your options are and you try to make the best life for yourself and your family. So, I have no indication of what he's going to end up doing.
Yeah, I didn't really get a strong feel. Also, pretty definitive win, hits the cross strike, gets the win. Post match, he gets a mic. Actually, he's going to cut a promo. The fans are chanting, "Thank you, Finley." He just kind of smirks, drops the mic, and he didn't do any backstage comments either. So yeah, I think he's very much kind of playing mind games, and kind of like Chris was saying, he doesn't want people to fully know what he's doing. We're not going to know until until he shows up somewhere what he's going to do. But I could see him potentially sticking around in the NJPW AEW universe, just based on some of the reports of WWE offers being lower than what he expected. And, maybe he won't get a tip-top main event push in AEW, but I think being in that AEW NJPW universe could get him better usage and potentially just being kind of a player coach in WWE and not making as much as he thought he could get.
Yeah.
He'd be a great coach.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I think it's sort of like, that's basically, in a nutshell, that's exactly what I've heard. And I think there is a number that I've heard. And honestly, just from my perspective, kind of understanding the landscape of professional wrestling, I don't know that it was that different than what he makes in New Japan. But I feel like hypothetically with WWE, you kind of have to weigh the pros and the cons, and there are definitely both of those things. But if you truly believe in yourself and you're betting on yourself and you think that there might be some sort of career pathing and opportunity that exists for you, even if it's not as like quote unquote main eventer of WrestleMania sort of thing, but some sort of niche that you can carve out for yourself to perhaps better your position, maybe that is the way to go. Otherwise, I think New Japan still needs him. I think that they are in dire need of strong heels that can kind of fill the usefulness that he has to the company. But I do wonder what the potential reports and the words that are out there, how that might affect negotiations with the company, where it's like, hey, you tested the waters and there weren't that many bites. So, what kind of leverage does that create for either of him or the company? So that remains to be seen, but hopefully, honestly, I'd like to see him stick around, and it seems like that's not necessarily unlikely. So we'll see how that plays out. Here's one telling fact, though. I hate to be this guy, but they were saying thank you, Finley, but they weren't saying please don't go. That's how you know if they love you. They say please don't go, please don't go. And they're like, thank you, Finley. See you later, bud. Good luck in your future.
We have a couple questions here. First from Competitive Fox 2822. What was with Dave Finley after the match? They seem to indicate he wasn't leaving, or at least signed to AEW, and would be appearing again in NJPW soon.
I don't believe that he is signing with AEW. I could be wrong. Like Chris said, things are always kept close to the vest. You never know. But my understanding is that's probably not on the table.
Yeah, and I didn't really get any hints from commentary. I felt like it was more of kind of like, yeah, we don't know what's next for Finlay, not a what's next for him in New Japan. It's like, we don't know what's next at all.
Speaking of commentary, I just want to throw this out there, right? I'm watching Fantastica Mania the past couple weeks, and Chris did really great couple nights. Walker did great a couple nights, but there's a couple nights in there, Spanish only language commentary, right? Or Japanese only, which is fine. But then I jump on social media and I see Walker, and he's like, "Oh, I'm over here doing some great, commentary in the great state of blah blah blah. They flew me in. I love doing local indie." And I'm like, "Why the fuck are you doing indie commentary live? And I'm here on New Japan World, and I don't have any commentary on, bro." Go into the closet and lay down the audio for 2-3 hours so I can have my shit. Then go do your live indie, fucking mud show bullshit outlaw done.
You need him to handhold you through that?
Yes, that's his
Are you
job.
a fake fan?
No, bro, I'm paying $9.99 a month.
No, you're paying 999 yen.
No, I used to pay 9.99 yen, and then for some reason my card got lost or stolen, and I got dropped off of that fucking tier, and I couldn't get it back, and I'm pissed about it.
I pay like $8.49 or something.
Yeah,
like it's like $8.30 or something. Yeah,
trust me, guys. I know the exchange rate between yen and the dollar. I've been to Japan. Okay, I know all about.
Yeah. You're one of those guys. You're always gonna talk about how you've been to Japan because you've been. Yeah. I pay you and everyone else.
For my $99, I expect to never have to hear Japanese. Okay, I expect
to. Oh man.
And I want subtitles on my promos, and
bro, yes.
And I want charts of who's aligned with who, and I don't want to ever have to actually pay attention to anything that's actually in front of me.
Speaking of charts, how good was that New Japan Cup chart on the NJPW World 1972.com website?
All I'm saying is I'm right here. I have done graphics that have been on the New Japan, the New Japan NJPW 1972 website. Like I've done actually a fair amount of them in, a couple years ago. I was like all over it. I'm right here. If anyone needs anything, I'm right here. My DMs are open. And I'm not saying I'm the best, but I'm certainly not graphic design as my passion, but we can do better. All I got. That's all I got.
Well, the moral of the story is, Walker, get your shit together. No, I'm just playing.
Next question here from Fauci says, during COVID times, they had to include some juniors in the tournament. Why not? That's super. Hold on. That's a New Japan Cup question, actually. So we'll skip that.
No, it kind of goes.
Oh, well, he kind of talks into Rosser a little bit.
Yeah.
So do you think Fred Rosser is actually going to get it work in New Japan? In Japan, what makes using Chase Owen and stuff like that in New Japan Cup more appealing than using Rosser or Alexei and Tom Lawler before he got hurt, or any other out-of-towners?
You clearly don't understand the lore of New Japan Pro Wrestling, okay? One time, the Young Bucks weren't able to make a tour, all right? And Chase Owens filled in for them and did jobs, okay? Okay, if you don't understand the value of him doing jobs on that one tour, that one time, and then from there on basically having a job for life, you just don't get the honor culture of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm sorry to say that.
The roster thing's weird though, right? Like it's weird because
it's like,
he's been like a core piece to the American like presentation when it was a weekly show, when it was all the monthly shows or pay-per-views. Like he's on all of them. And he does the classes at the dojo, or did. I don't know if he's still doing that.
He's still involved.
He's still the guy. Okay, like great. So like, if he wants to do a tour in Japan, like G1's big deal, right? Like sometimes it's just a space thing, and you want to get your guys in. And there's relationships that you have to keep up with other companies and all that stuff. Like I get that, and that's the same for any tournament. But like, the fact that Rosser hasn't done a tour since he started to be like really this ingrained in New Japan, it's weird. Like and I'm not like a conspiracy theorist over here, but like the dots don't connect on why Rosser hasn't shown up in a New Japan Cup or a New Beginning Tour,
World Tag League.
Honestly, World Tag League, right? Like
I know one big reason probably.
It's just
also there's it's also
just weird.
It's also weird because he's a former WWE guy. You know how they love to fawn over them. But here's what it really boils down to now. But a few years back, absolutely, I'm with you, Chris. But now he's the leader of the dojo. And I don't know if you guys know this, but whenever you're the head of the dojo for New Japan in America, you want to work in Japan, but you're not allowed to. Okay. Shibata wasn't allowed to, and now neither is Fred Rosser. So that's how that works. And whoever takes over after Rosser, they're just gonna have to bear that same burden.
But every now and then they call Kushida, and he's sort of the other leader of the dojo.
He's not the head.
He's not the top guy.
Not top guy.
All right. Yeah.
But yeah.
The math.
Yeah. But yeah, it is really weird. Yeah. This guy's like, he's the front face of our academy. He's on all the US shows. And we can't get him to Japan, not even one time. Like, yeah, it's really, really strange. And if I'm him, he's always talking about he's diehard New Japan, but the guy hasn't been in Japan. Like, if I go to train there, I'm getting trained by a guy that's never been in the actual like main promotion and understands the style. Like, I would feel kind of like, how am I gonna, like, my chances of getting to Japan are really slim being trained by a guy that's never really fully been over there.
He also talks about wanting to go, like almost annually. It comes up, but if I look at the kind of projected G1 field, this year feels like the year to give it a go. It just feels like there might be space for Fred Rosser, and I would be thrilled with it. It's a thing, but I mean, there's money, right? There's money, there's time commitment. When's the last time Fred Rosser did like a tour away from home? That I don't know, right? And like, I know he knows how to, clearly. I mean, he was in WWE when they were like everywhere all the time. But like, when's the last time he did it? And what's the value of that to him versus what's the value of what New Japan will pay him to go? Right? Like, sometimes it's not just about your pride and wanting to do something. It's about, does it add up dollars and cents, or could I keep just doing what I'm doing right now and being pretty happy? Right. So there's a lot that goes into the logistics of getting someone to go to Japan for a month, right? It's got to be worthwhile for that person. And that doesn't mean he doesn't want to do it. It just might mean it doesn't make sense for him. And, maybe it's that, or maybe it just hasn't made sense for New Japan. I don't know. It's the strangest thing. I mean, we did see Tom Lawler in G1 when the G1 was 100 people or whatever, 28. But even that was, and that was great, and people were super into it. But yeah, the roster thing just sort of baffles my mind. I talk about it with a lot of people all the time. We're like, why don't they call him? But the question about this was about like, what's with the weird first round buys? Another question that I just cannot answer. And like, anyone who's listened to me on this show forever will know that no matter how they sell the buys, I hate them. Like,
yeah, there's been like just 1 year where the buys made sense.
They were like all the champions,
if they make sense.
Right. When it's buys, when it's like it's a champion, a current champion, or they've done like previous New Japan Cup winners, stuff like that. And it's like, okay, fine. Like, fine, whatever. We'll roll with that. At least that's something. But like this year, it's just like they're just celebrating. They're just like random draw of buys. And it's just like dudes that want another couple days before their flight takes off to get to Japan.
Yeah.
I mean,
I got a way that this would work for me, the way that they do it currently, and I'd be totally okay with it. They don't have to change anything about the brackets. Rich Loud Happy Women's History Month. It's really simple. All you got to do is do taped vignettes where they're spinning the wheel with the balls in them. And they reach in, and then they read their seating. if they were to just do that bullshit like they used to do for Royal Rumble, I'd be totally fine with them. Like, fuck, Fale's got the bye. All right, well, that's what it is. He drew the bye.
You have a scene where like they like exchange the ball, so when they grab it, it's all how the torch is just grabbing all the buys out.
That would work for me.
That's so American wrestling pilled, though.
That's fine. It's logical. I love it.
What's logical is to find 8 more wrestlers. Yeah. Honestly, they're already there. We used to have New Japan Cups where it's just like Togi Makabe. He's having his one singles match a year. There's plenty of those dudes still around.
Dust Tenzan off, man.
Yeah, let's get Tenzan in there, baby.
I don't think you're
Final
getting
New Japan Cup.
But you've got Nagata, you've got Makabe,
Kojima.
you've got Kojima. That's 3 of the. We're almost halfway there.
Here for Jeremy's last kiss. That's funny.
I could fill out this bracket. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. They've also got to figure out how many matches they want. They want 2 New Japan Cup matches on each show. That's max. Can't have more than that. That's how
that's
could
crazy talk.
how could we ever have more than 2? It's great for me because I'm here covering 2 matches a day. I'm like, here you go, Chris. See you later.
I feel like we spent a lot more time talking about this match than I thought we would. But one last thing I will say is I feel like the whole thing is the reason Fred Rosser can't come over is the same reason that like West Coast Wrecking Crew can't come over. Because like when they did Strong, there was an agreement. You guys will get 1 guy that will ever come over for 1 tour. And that was it. And Tom already filled out that slot. And everybody else that was part of Strong is just, they're shit out of luck. That's it. Sorry, Adrian Quest. We don't have space for you. We already did Tom. It's done.
Adrian Quest and Super Juniors would be Raw.
No, it wouldn't because they already did Tom. You can't do that.
4 years ago. 3 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. Well, let's move on to the next matchup here. NJPW Strong Openweight title match. New champ. Boltin Oleg defeats Tomohiro Ishii 14 minutes and 2 seconds.
This was exactly what I thought it was going to be, and it was pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, this match absolutely rocked. They had the crowd in the palm of their hands. That huge strike exchange spot where they're exchanging chops for like 5 minutes. Absolutely awesome. I thought Boltin had a lot of fire. I was a little bit worried like how is the U.S. crowd going to react to him, and he got a good response on the initial entrance and then throughout the match. Obviously, they were way more into Ishii, obviously, but they definitely got behind Boltin at points, and yeah, he looked great. And I loved towards the end where he like popped Ishii up and did the F5. Like that should have been the finish. I don't know why he's so locked into the kamikaze Finley roll thing. Like he needs somebody to grab him. Like you need to do the verdict / F5 because when he grabbed Ishii, threw him up like Brock used to do, caught him on his shoulders, spinned him out, and dropped him. I'm like, that is sick. Like you need to do that every night to everyone and just win every match. Like it was awesome.
Yeah, this is Shawn Michaels 1992ism. This is him doing the Sweet Chin music and then getting people up for that teardrop. Like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Just beat him with the super kick. Why are you doing all that? Why are you doing the teardrop? That shit sucks. So same thing. I wasn't worried about Oleg Boltin getting over in the U.S. at all because it didn't matter if anyone in the crowd knew who the fuck he is. It's America, and he's a body guy, and he's gonna get over just by the sheer size and athleticism of him, so I wasn't worried about that at all. But these guys really delivered here. I don't know how much the title win actually means in the grand scheme of things because I don't know for the foreseeable future if he will ever, who knows, maybe for him, they'll just suddenly start having him defend the Strong title back in Japan again like they used to from time to time, just so they have something for him to do and it's an extra attraction. They'd be smart if they did that. But if they just ice this shit and he's just like the champion in recess over in Japan until they decide to run another New Japan show in America, who knows? But yeah, I thought it was great. Good to see him get the victory over a legend like Ishii. The crowd was very receptive, and I thought this I thought the match, it ruled.
Remember when people thought Ishii got hurt on Dynamite?
Yep.
And then people who knew, right, were like, he's the best seller of all time. Like, that's
when did
selling.
he get hurt on Dynamite?
It was a tag.
Was it last
Yeah,
Wednesday?
it was a tag match. Maybe it was 2 weeks
ago.
ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
I mean, he sold it pretty good.
Thanks, Tony Khan.
He had me thinking, at least.
Yeah, the guy, he was, quote unquote struggling.
Yeah, and maybe he was hurt, but he was.
I was gonna say
injured,
he probably just was.
Yeah. and now he's like, "Nah, I'm good." No, I mean, like, but that was meaningful coming into this match because I was sort of like, I don't think I had seen him since then. So he was great, man. He's as good as it gets. And when he's invested, when Ishii's invested in the other guy getting through and getting over, it's, you're gonna have a good match, and it was awesome. These guys.
Here's the thing about
rock.
this: everyone's focusing on Oleg Boltin picking up his first major singles gold, and that, or major quote unquote, but first singles gold.
Second.
Oh, that's right. He was never champion.
He was never.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But like, him getting another run with an open weight title, and that's all cool and well and good. But the story I don't hear enough people talking about is how this frees up Ishii to go into the New Japan Cup without a title around his waist, giving him a clear path to Yota Tsuji. You know what I'm saying? Sakura Genesis, let's go.
It'd be sick.
Oh, that
I'm sure we say that every year. Like every year on the nice.
Rich says, I saw Tomohiro Ishii versus Michael Nakazawa practice match in Sacramento. Ishii went over. Chris, go ahead and update the official record.
I'll add it to his rubric.
Ishii won via Rainmaker with Okada howling at ringside.
I believe that. I hope that's true. My
friend Rich doesn't lie.
He would never. His name's not Rich Lida. Okay. I would bet every year we talk about the New Japan Cup, we talk about Ishii, and we say like it'd be sick if he won, and he's just not. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
I believe.
But it'd be sick if he did. But it does. He is titleless, which is probably for the best for him for right now. He probably forgot he had that damn title.
Yeah, he had like 2 defenses in a year.
This was his second.
We joked about it last week, but like I don't think he ever took that back to Japan with him. Like it was definitely kept.
He definitely had it with him on some of the tours, and it's carried it out with him.
You ruined the joke, Jeremy.
We had a question from Fernandingo. How much of a star is Boltin Oleg?
Could be more.
He's good. He's great.
He's getting there.
He's great. We're seeing it. We're seeing it happen. He's another one of those guys on the same trajectory as really the rest of this generation, and he could become. I mean, he could become Ishii, right? Like he could become that type of guy. Or he could just sort of always be what he is, and that's honestly really, really good. Star though, I don't know. He's a really good wrestler. I would like to see him be more of a star, and I hate to say it that way, but like I would like to see him be, I'd like to see him bring people up. I think he's still being brought up by the people that he's in the ring with. Mm-hmm. I would like to see him, the best stars in pro wrestling are the guys that everyone has their best matches with, right? It's Omega, Danielson, Ospreay. I mean, like those are like the cream of the crop, but there's other guys like that in different areas of pro wrestling too. And, those are the stars because they get it. They connect with the crowd. They connect with the pacing and the timing of everything, whether it's promos or backstages or the matches. So how much star potential does he have? Quite a bit. Is he currently a star? No, he's not. But he's a damn good pro wrestler, and I love watching him.
If I were like in charge of of the molding of Oleg Boltin, not from an in-ring perspective, but from a projection and character standpoint, I'd have him on a steady diet of twofold. It'd be, equal parts 1-to-1. I'd have him watching old tapes of the work of guys like, Stan Hansen, Terry Gordy, Dr. Death, Vader, Kenta Kobashi. And then I would have him watching like just nothing but fucking promos and angles from the United States with like some of the most outrageous like characters that have ever been, like a Dusty Rhodes and, Buzz Sawyer and like, Roddy Piper, like crazy shit like that, just so he could get an idea of like projection and persona, The Rock, even, who the fuck knows what a guy like him might pick up from watching a bunch of like Western characters, in their zenith, and understand how to kind of like bring those two things together to become a star. Cause that's really like, if a lot of the top guys like, like Tanahashi and like Nakamura, that's what they did. It's like they studied the wrestling and the character work of a lot of these guys and developed their own. Yeah,
I definitely think, the persona is definitely something that's a little bit lacking, and there's definitely a lot of room to grow in there. Also, I think that I feel like there's a little bit of handcuffing on him sometimes in Japan, where I feel like he gets stuck in like these never 6-man feuds, or he's like in a lot of multi-man that doesn't get a lot of singles matches. I feel like if he had more singles matches and more opportunities to kind of go out there and do some stuff with guys, I feel like he'd be able to kind of show off more of what he can do in the ring also. But yeah, I definitely do think that character piece needs to be developed as well.
I mean, he's only 3-ish years out from his like debut, which was like a 3-minute exhibition. And then his like more traditional debut was in April. So he is literally 3 years out from his actual debut. So, if we are doing the New Japan booking math, 6 to 7 years from now, he'll get a good shot.
Yeah, Van
Damage says, "Oh, go ahead, Jeremy."
Yeah, no more tags with Yano.
My thing is like, I don't know. The guy's not young.
He's 33.
That's not young.
To some of us, that's young.
Yeah.
Some of us is me.
Yeah. I think, I mean, also, he's not, obviously, he's not in his 20s, but it just shows some age there. But yeah, I definitely think that they can put their foot on the gas with him, highlight him more. I feel like there are some times where they kind of make him look dumb. He's had some kind of stupid losses to like Evil and guys like that, where I feel like it's almost kind of going into the Aaron Wolf situation where you have this guy, great amateur background, kind of obviously not as well known as Aaron Wolf, but kind of well known, big amateur wrestler, and not really just kind of going with him being a badass, just destroying people and getting him over that way. And we've seen that time and time again. There might be some guys that maybe they're not great talkers, they're not great personas, but if they're just steamrolling people and just winning and looking awesome and dominant, like the crowds get behind them, and then you can kind of develop the character around that.
They only ever do that with heels.
Yeah.
They only ever do the like steamroll everyone thing with heels. And it sucks. I mean, I think that sucks because I think that's a cool, it's a babyface thing, but that's a pro wrestling thing.
Yeah.
They like the only guys who ever win squashes and are truly winning squashes, or like kind of the squashish guys, are heels. And then once they transition to being baby faces, they all of a sudden their matches are 10 minutes long. They're 50, whatever. They're bigger stories, which I get it. You want to put those guys in front of your fans for a little bit longer, but like, it's cool. Like, it's cool to have a guy that can just come and like win easily. And that's going to be that'll be a theme that shows up once we get to New Japan Cup too. But I mean, Oleg Bolton's next singles match will be his 50th in his career. So, I mean, he and young Lion guys pull 50 often in a year. Maybe not anymore, but I mean, like historically, young Lions would have 50 singles matches because that's all they did in about a year. So, it's it's slow grow because of that, because they put him right onto the roster. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that was the best move, but I don't know what else to do, so.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's one of those things where it's like, you have to have intentionality in what you want to do with these guys when you want to fast track them. You know, they want to do stuff like that with him, and, you know, to even quicker extent with, you know, obviously we're going to talk about it, but like Aaron Wolf, but it's like when you do that, you can't just throw shit at the wall and hope, you know, see what spaghetti sticks. Like, you have to have a plan in place and a developmental schedule, like firmly in place for these types of guys to get them to where you want them to be. And and we've seen how haphazardly this company has been booked the past few years. Obviously, things have been shaping up for the better this year, but when there's been so much, you know, kind of chaos surrounding the company's book for the past few years, it's hard to imagine that they are, you know, moving forward with all their best intentions when it comes to developing talent the right way all the time.
Yeah. Well, so
I mean, what's he gonna do with the strong title the next time New Japan's in the US is the G1 show in July?
we'll talk more about it. I'm hoping that my we'll talk about the trajectories, but I'm hoping that his path crosses with the never champion in these brackets. And
yeah, right.
Unified.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I mean that, but we've all, a lot of us have been begging for that or something like that forever.
Yeah.
I mean, who's got the tag titles? Is it still?
That's Chavez brothers, right? CMLL.
Yeah.
The
like,
Chavez brothers, don't you know?
Are they coming in? I was just confirming that it hadn't changed in Mexico.
Should they, because of the Open Champions,
me.
should they work Super Junior Tag League, or should they work the World Tag League?
Open weight, brother. Both.
So let's go to the next match. AEW National Title match. Ricochet defends and defeats the Bone Soldier Taiji Ishimori in 14:29.
This is fine. You know,
yeah.
They didn't over deliver, but it was perfectly serviceable. You know, Ishimori, he put in, I would say, a little bit more energy and effort than he normally does, but he didn't like put in a classic Ishimori performance. And I didn't think Ricochet was necessarily ricocheting this night either. You know, it was kind of what you would expect for a match in the middle of the card, sub 15 minutes, and, you know, second from the bottom or third from the bottom, you know?
Yeah, I thought the formula of the match was a little weird because you have Ricochet, who's clearly a heel, and then Ishimori, who is used to wrestling heel leaning, but he's kind of in this sub babyface group, but he still wants to do heel tactics. So he's like pulling off the apron and, you know, pulling, you know, gouging his eyes out and like being very heelish. So you have like this kind of weird heel versus heel kind of matchup. And it's like, for a match like this, I want to see like these guys just go out there and like do what they can do at this point in their careers. And they didn't fully do that, but it was still very good. Ricochet hits Death Valley Driver, Vertigo, and the Spirit Gun to get the win.
And the 720 splash.
Rich saying, how is NJPW managed to continue opening their doors of business without evil?
Well, it's only been a couple shows. We'll see what happens beyond that.
So next up, we had El Desperado and Kushida defeating Alec Price and Jordan Oliver in 13:57.
It's also fine.
This was the most like C tier Forbidden Door match that there could have been, where it's just like, I don't know why any of these guys are fighting. And you know what it reminded me of? It's like an ROH match. Like, this was like something that could have easily been on any ROH show, and you'd be like, oh yeah, that was pretty good. They got a good amount of time. The best thing about it is, you know, these young guys from AEW and ROH, they got some reps to work with some more seasoned veterans and, you know, kind of get a different look and experience, but nothing really to write home about. I don't know that from watching this match that I'm like clamoring like, damn, we got to get fucking Alec Price and whatever we got to do. We got to make sure that Tony gets Jordan Oliver here for Super Juniors. Like, you know, I didn't feel like that necessarily.
Yeah, it was a fine match. They worked well with Despy and Kushida, and yeah, there's not too much more to say about it. You know, Despy hits the Pinche Locos on Price to get the win. I guess the big thing for them post-match, they were cutting their promo, and they got invitations to the Def Vegas Invitational coming up next month, WrestleMania weekend. So
I think that's what we speculated might happen.
Yeah.
It feels like that's why the match was on the card.
Well, that's what we speculated last week, Chris. We were smart
I know.
men. We were smart men.
I like how you put that in past tense.
I will say this. I liked this better than the Ricochet match. A little bit.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot more energy. Like, I feel like, Price and Oliver, especially Price, had a lot of energy and did that cool dive off the stage. So, yeah, it was a fun, fast-paced match. Then after that, we had the NJPW World TV title match. We had El Fantasma defending against the Alpha Konosuke Takeshita. So they wrestled to a 15-minute time limit draw. Phantasmo getting on the mic saying, last time we had a draw, that sucked. You had a draw with Moxley, that sucked. Let's get 5 more minutes. Tanahashi's not here. Let's just go ahead and, break the rule. Let's do 5 more minutes. So they went out there and extended the time, and then in 2:43, Takeshita ends up defeating Phantasmo to become the new TV champion.
Yeah, I mean, they already did the double whatever. They've already done a bunch of those with El Phantasmo. Walker did a great job explaining how that both of his title reigns, ELPs that is, have been rife with double countouts, time limit draws, and these no contest bullshits where there's not a definitive winner. And then suddenly we get another one, and I almost kind of felt like, okay, well, at least if we're getting another one and they're starting to acknowledge it, maybe it's going to become part of some sort of broader story or development with the rules of whatever this title is supposed to be. Like, hopefully something comes out of this, and then this man gets on the mic, and mind you, he was not, now it's not to say he was going to win the match, but when the time expired, he had just hit hit
the Raging Fire on Takeshita.
Yeah, he hit Takeshita with the Raging Fire. Now, we all know that if you're not the master of the finisher of the guy you're fighting, you can't beat him with his finisher. It's impossible. So he definitely wasn't going to pin him for the 1, 2, 3, but he at least had the upper hand in it. Who knows? Maybe he was on his way to picking up the victory, but he was clearly having the upper hand.
Well, he had already tried all his own moves,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a great CR2 Thunder Kiss near fall towards the end.
Yeah, but the next like logical thing would have been like, okay, well, I do 2 in a row, or I hit the CR3 or whatever the fuck he needed to do, Thunder Kiss, whatever. But instead, he's like, instead of just letting it go or like letting it play out or acknowledging that he was the one that was on top or challenging this guy for another match in the future, he goes, man, fuck this. 5 more minutes. Why are you, as the champion, retaining the match and the one who was left standing tall, challenging the guy to come back down and fight you for 5 more minutes? And then he's like, the boss isn't here tonight. It's like, the boss is here tonight. His name's Rocky Romero. He's the guy standing right next to and then he loses. This is the most Sting shit ever.
My question, all that aside, the match was good. I thought, these guys, they both give great effort when they're in there with each other, and I think that's great. Why is Konosuke Takeshita the television champion after dropping the world championship? I do understand that the TV title matches go up for free on NJPW World, and I think still YouTube and all your generally accessible channels. But why? It's weird. It's just another weird. It's just a little weird. Yeah, you're right. He has to be a champion. It's like, that's way down card. It's very interesting.
Yeah, we kind of speculated about this last week, and for me, it's like, unless they're going to do like a Zack Sabre like reign, where he's going to go out there, face a lot of upper and top guys, and have great matches that make this reign super great. Like, I don't get why the TV route, and it kind of also goes back to the whole thing of like Tsuji having double belts. I feel like the global title could be opened up to like go on a guy like Takeshi or somebody like that, and really have another top title, another top guy you can use in some main events on some of these shows, instead of kind of going the TV title route.
I had all the same complaints as you guys last week, so I'm going to change it up this week. I see the vision. I think the reason that he needed to win this year just makes sense. Not, check it off the list. That way, when he does win that white belt, we can call him the Grand Slam champion. It's going to be hard for him to be Grand Slam champion if he doesn't just quickly get one of these TV title reigns under his belt. Just fucking knock it out.
Usually be 4 titles.
What do you? Well, yeah, the Grand Slam is like what is it? The Grand Slam's when you win all the singles belts, right?
Yeah.
Well, but normally a Grand Slam would be 4.
Yeah,
that's sort of the whole idea of Grand Slams. What are the never?
Yeah, he already held the never.
Yeah, he held the never. Okay, so sorry,
IWGP.
I was thinking out loud. Okay.
Yeah, so he's at 3 now. Just got one more to go. That's it. Bada boom, bada bing. He's done. And then
he'd actually be the perfect guy to take the global off of Tsuji.
No. He's never fucking beating Yota Tsuji again. What are you talking about?
No, he'd be perfect because he actually works in America, and Tsuji's all like, "I'm not defending this thing in Japan," or whatever, something like that. He's more willing to defend it outside of Japan, and Takeshita's here, so he could defend it on
Japanese.
Oh. That's
right. It's a whites only belt. What are you talking about?
Except when Yota Tsuji holds it.
Only when Yota Tsuji holds it, it's a whites only belt. After he drops
defends against whites only.
Yeah.
Got it. After Tsuji drops it, all bets are off what it's going to be because everyone, the points are made up and the rules don't matter.
Well, because nobody else has the integrity of Yota Tsuji. That's why.
Oh, is that
he has the 3 eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, match was very good, and kind of like what we said last week, like I feel like there are a little bit of diminishing returns every time these guys wrestle. It will never live up to the G1 match, but it was still
that match rocked.
Yeah, still very, very good. And like we mentioned, the CR2 Thunder Kiss near fall got me towards the end there. But yeah, ELP ends up being Dumbe face, eats a Raging Fire, and loses the title. And then post match, I feel like we're getting another, ELP's on bad luck story. He's cutting a promo about how maybe I'm not cut out to be a top star in this promotion. I keep losing, yada yada yada. Now it's New Japan Cup. How am I gonna do? Kind of thing. So I feel like we're going back down that road of depressed losing ELP.
It's like Juice Robinsonism.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Except he was never over as Juice Robinson was at that one point.
Yeah, that Juice US title run could have been something.
Left-handed God.
Yeah.
That is so good.
So next up, we had the IWGP Tag Team title match. We had the Knockout Brothers, Oscar and Yuto Ice, making their U.S. debut and retaining their titles against the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan and Toa Liona of the Demand.
This, I think it was underwhelming. I wanted it to be better than it was. I didn't think it was bad, but I don't know. Knockout Brothers are on such a roll. They are on such a roll in Japan, especially with the title defenses. I don't put this in the same list.
When you said I wanted it to be better, it reminded me of that time when Andy goes in for the interview at the office to try to be the branch manager, and Gabe Lewis gets like basically fucks up his entire interview. He walks out, he's like, I wanted that to be better.
Never watched The Office.
Oh, it's the best show of all time.
No, that's Scrubs.
No.
I've never watched Scrubs.
Scrubs is so good. Scrubs is good. It's so much fucking better than Scrubs. It's not funny.
No.
Oh man. But yeah, no, Knockout Brothers, I felt like, I don't know, like it's we talked about like the cross-pollination of what this interaction provided to these two teams. And one of the things that I had talked about is them getting to work with a US style tag team for the first time outside of the country. So, I didn't necessarily believe that they were going to jive super well and like put on the type of classic matches that we've seen from Knockout Brothers in recent iterations, because they've been working with guys that work the house style that they're accustomed to and that speak the same kind of like language as them. Even if some of those guys aren't even like, for instance, like I forget who all they've wrestled, but like like some of the non-domestic guys, they all speak the same language of wrestling. These guys don't. They're from a totally different, background. And so there's always going to be some kind of like roughness when it comes to integrating the work with one another. I thought it was fine for what it was. I also think the other thing too that goes against the match, kind of felt like a little bit, and it's hard to tell because again, the crowd wasn't mic'd super well, but it felt kind of like they weren't that high on KOB when they came out the way that they were for some of the other acts. And I think that could maybe potentially speak to the fact that this was, a broader portion of the crowd that maybe isn't as tuned into New Japan as maybe others were. And they didn't seem as hot for the match as a whole as they were for some of the other business end stuff, like the TV title match, the women's match, the main event. I don't know if maybe that also has to do with like AOG, maybe not, even though they're a good tag team, not coming in the hottest. If they had brought in something that was a little bit of a more push commodity, maybe the view on the match or the reactions would have been a little different, but I thought it was solid. I just didn't think it was very good.
Yeah, and that point you just made on GOA was kind of what I mentioned last week. It's like, yeah, these guys, they work really hard, but they lose all the time. And it's like it's not like a super push tag team, even though they're on TV a lot, but they're on TV a lot losing. And so you have that kind of North American AEW fan base at this show. Like, yeah, they're not going to be super into a match with these guys that are always losing. I do feel like Knockout Brothers, they didn't get as big a reaction like Ishii did, but I did feel like there were people that popped for them and kind of knew their stuff. There were people that did the Boomba Clap when utilized the Boomba Clap knee. So, yeah, it wasn't as big as like Ishii or some of the other guys, but it definitely, there was a portion of the crowd who knew who Knockout Brothers were.
What I felt like that was like to me was like when the initial pop for their entrance popped off, it wasn't that big. But then when some of the catchphrases and moments popped off, there were those vocal pockets of the audience. And I feel like probably what was happening there were those people who are maybe not as clued in. We're like, wait, what the fuck are we missing out? Like, what are we not clued into with this guy? And I felt like they were turning the crowd a bit through the course of the match for the portions of the audience that maybe aren't as familiar.
Yeah, because there's definitely some like "Let's Go Yota" chants towards the end there, when Yota was they were kind of doing a 2-on-1 on him, and he was having to sell and make the hot tag to Oscar. So yeah, I think there's a little bit there, but also yeah, hopefully as the more they come back, yeah, they kind of build that reputation and reaction. So yeah, so they end up hitting the KOB and getting the win here and retaining the titles. Which takes us to the semi-main event. We had the IWGP Women's Title match, and Shuri defeats the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena in 1756.
I thought this was good. It's another one of those matches that, like, I think people in the building got a different experience than the people that watched on TV. And just based on the people that I've talked to that are there that I love and respect, I think that they thought that match was great. And I, at home, thought that match was pretty good. Like, so that's what you miss, right? That's what you miss with the production piece, is like, you miss the difference between pretty good and like getting hyped and excited about a pro wrestling match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I felt like for these last couple matches, the production really did hurt it quite a bit for me, where I recognized that the action itself was very good, but I didn't get the feeling like what you're talking about, Chris, of like being hyped. I didn't feel like invested to the point where I was like, they're doing it. And even on like a Cork and Hall show, obviously the production in Cork and Hall is amazing, but like in terms of size and scale and scope, like that's a similar sized crowd, and like the feeling of energy and investment is just so different than what you got on a show like this.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought the work was very good, and it was a really good match. I'm kind of close to Notebook on it. But yeah, I think that there was this, a missing of the crowd energy and the investment and getting hype behind it. But yeah, I mean, I thought they told a good story of, Shuri working the submissions and Athena having to try and use her speed to escape all that. But in the end, losing to Shuri here. So good match. And yeah, I'm glad the people in the building enjoyed it a lot more.
I will say this, some of the reactions that I've seen online and some of the scores that exist indicate that we maybe sound probably a little lower than the general consensus on this match. I think it's probably a bit more beloved than how we're seeing it. But yeah, I thought it was very good. One of the things that hurt it for me is like, I just didn't really believe that Athena was going to beat Shuri for the title.
Yeah.
Even though I made arguments for why it might have made sense. The same thing with the Takeshita match. Like, I know you guys mentioned biting on some of those near falls. I just couldn't bite on any of ELP's near falls. I just didn't believe that they were going to let him pin Takeshita, and I didn't think Shuri was going to get beat here. And there's one point Athena hit her with like a tombstone pile driver. And that should have been, that's something where like, I felt like I should get that feeling of hype, but I know she's not going to win here. So like, I couldn't believe in the near falls. Yeah.
Also, I think it's just hard to fully get invested in IWGP women's title match because it just happens every once so often. It's like not really part of the promotion. It's just kind of there. We don't really see the stories, and also there wasn't really that much of a story here either. So I don't know.
Well, the one thing that I thought was interesting, I was like trying to reason, why is she only defending the IWGP women's belt, not the strong belt as well? And then she didn't bring out the strong belt. She only brought out the IWGP. And I was like, what if they're quietly just discontinuing the strong women's and it's just the IWGP and like that's all it's going to be moving forward, and they just haven't made the formal announcement yet? And I was like, I think I got it. I think that's what they're doing. And then she beats Athena. Athena walks out and just like still has, and she's like, I'm still champion. I still have my belt, which kind of speaks to that Brock Lesnar story I told last week where I was like, how fucking stupid is that? Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. But then we get a video on a package right before Shuri walks out of the building, and it's Alex Windsor, and she's challenging her to a title match at Pro Wrestling Eve, Wrestle Kingdom. And she's like, and I want that strong belt. I'm like, why the fuck would this makes no sense? Why are people picking and choosing between the belts?
Right. Why not challenge her both?
You don't believe in yourself enough to acquire both belts simultaneously. It's the same company. Like, it's not like there's some sort of politicking that needs to go on here where you have to convince two different boards. There's not a strong board and an IWGP board. It's just the IWGP. I'm sure they will sanction the match for both belts, but for whatever reason, Alex Windsor, she doesn't have faith in herself to believe she's IWGP level. She only sees herself at strong level.
I thought strong was like never. It's a different committee.
It's not.
Well, unless I think at one point in time there was, but
no, this
strong
is what
committee.
It is. No, there's not a committee. There's an IWGP committee, and Rocky Romero is secretly on that committee, as well as the other committees that he's probably part of with AEW, but and also with Don Callis family. But he's on the IWGP committee, and then there's like a branch that branches off, and it's strong, and that's just all unilaterally underneath Rocky. So strong is wrapped up into the IWGP committee. It's the same thing.
Where are the juniors? I need a mind.
They're under IWGP too.
So about never.
Same thing. I think Togi Makabe is over that though.
No, he'd be never champion forever if he was. So I'm gonna go out there, hit the knee drop. No, we were thinking you'd lose it to Bolton. No.
No. I got cupcakes to eat. I didn't
say he has the book. I said that he's over it. We're talking about like, putting the production together, Getting, I don't know what else entails that. I don't know where that joke was going. I have no bit left to go.
Oh, man. Well, let's go to the main event. IWGP Global Heavyweight Title Match. Gene Blast Yota Tsuji defeats the real Latino man Andrade El Idolo in 26-44.
Who's the fake Latino man?
El Grande Americano?
Yeah, yes, yeah, both of them.
Right? I mean, that's
I heard
sort
there's
of the
more
bit,
than
isn't
two.
it?
Yeah,
There's more than two, right?
I guess.
Who knows?
I know that. I know for sure there's two. I don't know.
You know what this shit
Is
is
that-
like? It's like when I was a little kid and I was on the playground and they're like, you know, Ultimate Warrior is not actually Ultimate Warrior. He died and they have a new Ultimate Warrior playing.
When he came back the second time.
when it was me, we were talking about the Blue Blazer being Owen Hart, and then
Wow.
that was like the same day I learned that the Blue Blazer was Owen Hart.
What? You didn't know before that?
I wasn't that invested.
Was it on the dirt sheets?
I wasn't on the sheet. I was on the forums, maybe
I
a
got
little
into a
bit.
fight with a kid because my brother had told me that the way the Ultimate Warrior died was he got put into an airtight coffin when he fought the Undertaker in a coffin match, and he lost all his air and he suffocated to death. They had to cover that up. But then when I was on the playground, this kid told me no, his tassels were tied too tight and it cut off all the circulation of blood. And it killed
Tassels
him.
were tight though. I mean,
And like
That's
we
legit.
almost fought over this. We were like probably 6 or something like that, you know. But my brother wouldn't
Oh.
lie to me about him suffocating in the airtight body bag and coffin combo. That's what happened.
The facts, yeah.
Those are the facts.
is now a good time for me to go off on a tangent that my hometown, Downers Grove, Illinois, there's a group of people that are lobbying, like literally taking up political time in Downers Grove, which, it's a fine neighborhood, to get a Macho Man Randy Savage monument built, because Macho Man is from Downers Grove and went to Downers Grove North High School. And I've reached out to these people. No one wants either me or Rich Craich of Voices of Wrestling flagship fame, admittedly much more prominent in the pro wrestling media than I am, but no one has reached out to either of us to participate in this push to get the Macho Man monument. So at this point, we're actually considering healing it up and actually working against it. So if anyone's got any dirt on the Poffo family or Macho Man Randy Savage that
I've heard some stories.
we can put a stop to this. I'm very in and I'm ready to listen, because I'm a little upset that no one will allow me to participate in this joyous occasion for my hometown. I have a cream of the crop t-shirt. So I'm just a little hurt by my hometowners. So, if you've heard anything, my DMs are open.
Well, there's this one thing with Stephanie and
Yeah, there's a story out there. I don't know if you know that story.
I'm gonna wait until it goes through. Oh yeah, Rich Land. Yeah, we've heard. I'd bet anything on that. Yeah, I might wait till it gets through the board, and once they've actually got funding, and then I'm just gonna drop a bomb on it. Not an actual bomb, but like a knowledge bomb. So, because I do still live, a block over from my hometown.
all right, Andrade and Tsuji, what'd you guys think?
I thought that this was borderline great, like bordering on great. Maybe not necessarily the level of greatness that I personally was hoping for when it came to these guys. I think that they are capable of having a better match in them. It was, a first time meeting between them. To my knowledge, I don't know that they've ever even touched one another. I didn't feel like this was some sort of like synchronicity where it's like, oh man, these guys are magic. They just mesh perfectly well. But all in all, the match was really great. The one thing that I didn't love, and it's kind of nitpicky, but I didn't love the finish of the match because
I agree with
Oh, you guys agree? Okay. Tsuji hits his Gene Blast, and that probably should have been it.
Yeah.
And Andrade kicks out, and because it's a pro US crowd who are much more I know he's the heel, but they're much more invested and familiar with Andrade. When he kicks out, and it is partially, it's supposed to be a protection mechanism because he's about to tap out, so they want to make him look strong before he does the tap out. But what ended up happening is the crowd probably for the whole night, this was the loudest and most invested they got for anything in the entire card. They're like, oh shit, like they thought it was a WrestleMania moment. They're like, let's go Andrade, he kicked out, and then he taps out. No, it's like, dude, you don't want, like, someone should have known that would have been the reaction to that move. And then when he puts him in the Boston Crab, it just like let the air out of everything. And if they were going to do the Boston Crab finish again, they should have probably been teasing up to it, built it as part of the story of the match, drawn it out and made it like this Titanic thing that he's trying to obtain. And instead it was just like tacked on at the last second. And it kind of deflated the match a bit for me. And actually to me, I felt like, yeah, I understand the story's supposed to be this guy's this, defender of Shinihon. And so he's going to go back to the basics and use the, the Carl Gotch, the Lion Crab, whatever it's called. But they did it in the total opposite of the effective way they did it with Takeshita, so much to the point where I'm like, well, now it's kind of just becoming a gimmick. You don't want it to just feel like, this gimmicky thing where it's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to throw it on because you're a foreigner, or you're an outsider or whatever. Like, it needs to be earned, and it wasn't really earned here.
Yeah.
It was weird. I thought it was weird. I thought the finish was flat. I get it. Like, I understand what they're trying to do. I just think they executed it terribly. The rest of the match I thought was really good, but like, what you leave with is what you leave with is the first thing that comes to your mind, right? And oftentimes in pro wrestling, that's the finish or the finishing sequence. And I don't know. I'm still waiting to have feelings about Yota Tsuji doing anything. Albeit I don't think his opponents are necessarily the people that are going to make me have feelings about a Yota Tsuji match. And that's not to say that I didn't think kind of both of his recent defenses were pretty good, but honestly, like, people really panned the Jake Lee match everywhere, right? Like, really, really dumped on it as just having no heart, no feel, no soul. That's sort of what this felt like for me. And maybe there's a piece of that's the production, right? And the US piece. And there's a piece of that of, I don't really care if he wins or loses against Andrade. Like, I would understand if he lost. And also, like, there's also the pessimist in me just thinks these two belts are going to be married until Tsuji loses something. Like, what's the story? What's the plan to get the white belt off of Tsuji so he can just be the world champion or the heavyweight champion? I don't see the vision. So I'm having a tough time seeing the vision of this double champion situation because it wasn't the story. The story of the Tsuji Takeshita match was not double gold dash, which actually made some sense. So yeah, I don't know. It was like it was an objectively good pro wrestling match, but it didn't speak to me at all.
Yeah, Rich is bringing up some points here in the chat saying that some of these ideas that Tsuji has brought up maybe aren't panning to be the greatest. Van Damage says he wants to see him continue to tap out all these AEW guys like Young Lions. And then Rich says he can't fight any of them for the IWGP in Japan. because of the 3 eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that finish probably would have came off better in Japan because the whole Boston Crab story gotten over, and people kind of know the full meaning and the representation behind putting an outsider in the Boston Crab and getting it to submit. So I think that finish would have gone over way better in Japan. But in the U.S., I feel like the finishing sequence was literally perfect up until they went for that Boston Crab. Like, they did that reversal.
It was hot.
Boom, he hits that Gene Blast. Like, it was perfect. Andrade, like, jumped up with it. Like, it was a great Gene Blast. Like, that should have been they should have just gone home right there. That should have been the finish. Like, that, I think we've been talking about a whole different note about this match, because I really enjoyed everything else in the match. But there was a lot of great counters and reversals. You know, Andrade was doing tornillos, Tsuji's doing the suicide dive, Tsuji does the Ultimo Guerrero special off the top, Andrade's doing Three Amigos. They're doing big spots, big sequences. There's great reversals. There's some like LIJ-ism in there as well, you know, with Andrade doing the pose. And so there's a lot of stuff that worked for me really well in this match. It just really just came down to that finish of going for the Boston Crab instead of just going for the pin off the Gene Blast.
Yeah, you're probably right. And I think in Japan, maybe, like you said, it might already be a foregone conclusion and established, like, because he's done it twice now. He did it with Gabe and then he did it with Takeshita, where it's like, yeah, if I put a guy in a Boston Crab, that could be an established finisher. But I still feel like through the course of the match, if you want the finisher to work and matter, you still need to build up to it in the psychology of the match. And they didn't build up to it at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I still feel like even in Japan, that would have been a negative detriment to the match, even if they reacted well to the finish. And in America, they didn't. And in fact, the way that, you know, Andrade kicked out of that Gene Blast, it endeared the crowd to him, and he got sympathy and got vocal support. They thought he was going to do a big comeback. Even if he wasn't going to win, I feel like what they thought was about to happen was that we were going into like the Okada AJ Styles, like, all right, we're about to go into the real closing sequence. You thought that was the closing sequence? Let's go to the real closing sequence. And instead, he put him in Boston Crab. This man just, and he did the weakest ass tap. He just said, people were like, what the fuck?
We had a few questions here. Wukong901 says, was pleasantly surprised with the result with Tsuji versus Andrade. Did the match wash out that Jake Lee stench off of Tsuji for y'all?
I already answered that.
I feel like it's still a mixed bag. I mean, we've always known what Tsuji is capable of, and now it's more a question of, can he be the top guy and lead the company? You know, and that still remains to be seen. He's trying the best that he can as of now, but I think it has to be a well worked out effort between everybody that's involved. And I don't know that everybody's on the same page with this right now. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting about it.
Yeah, I mean, also this match was way better than the Jake Lee match, so definitely a step in the positive direction. But like Josh was saying, we need more than just one, you know, good to great match. We need a series of great matches, and this guy is the top star. He's really carrying the company. He's elevating all his opponents. And we haven't gotten that quite yet. We're kind of getting this hit or miss. Like, all right, the Takeshita match was great, and then the Jake Lee match wasn't. This Andrade match was, you know, very good, and then what's next? Like, we need to kind of see some consistency and just, you know, more greatness coming out of Tsuji.
Well, what I mean by that more specifically is this. Before they like finally coordinated and like made Tanahashi in like 2009, all throughout the mid 2000s, they were doing trial runs with him and Nakamura and Makabe. And it was basically the messaging that was like coming to the, you know, to both the book from management as well as to the guys that they're working with, was like, let's do everything we can to try our best to make these guys. But the messaging wasn't, this is our dude and you better do everything in your power to make him. Once Tanahashi like got the belt in 2009, that's what the message was like, he's the flagship and everybody fall in line and do what you can to build him. And it was always about, like, prior to that, it was about do your best, you know? And there needs to be a a solidified message that's like, this is the dude that we're going with. Everybody needs to like focus on him and build him up as the top guy for now, you know, and I don't know that that's the messaging that's being, delivered unilaterally.
Yeah. Next question here from Sensitive Artist 69. Looking back on New Beginning, do you think NJPW might wish they put Andrade Tsuji on in Japan instead of a Jake Lee match? The US show always seemed to come off as small time, and that excellent match felt a little wasted with these production values. Not to mention they could have really built on the goodwill from Wrestle Kingdom putting that match on the next big show afterwards.
But they sold out the show. They sold out New Beginning, so I don't know.
And Jake Lee is actually important to New Japan going forward.
I don't know why.
But whether you like that or not, listen, we all know, right? But I don't have to expand on that. But he is. So no, you put him on New Beginning.
I think,
and it was his return. It was his return arc. They had to establish him as a guy. Right? We all know the story there. But I don't think so. Jake Lee is more important to New Japan. Not even just in Japan. He's more important to New Japan than Andrade. So, no, you put him in Japan. You put him in the biggest show.
The only way I would argue against that would be if hypothetically they were thinking of doing a bigger show and they hypothetically thought that Andrade could draw more seats to a bigger show on that same date. But it's all conjecture, but they didn't.
What would lead anyone to believe that?
Right. No, I'm saying if they believed that and then they decided to run with a match like that to test the waters, who knows? The other thing that they could have done is save this match for some other future date in Japan that they thought that they could do better business with. But instead they booked this arena and they needed the right names to be there as the marquee, and this is what they went with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think that they did bad business. They just
the business was good.
The business was fine. They just did a bad job of capturing it for posterity for all of time and perpetuity. We're not going to be able to ever enjoy watching that show, really.
Yeah. Next question here from Aspiring Shoulder says, more seriously, do you think Yota will be able to establish himself as the new ace of New Japan, or you think he'll just be the biggest obstacle for the new ace to overcome?
None of them are giving me ace energy.
I see a lot of similarities at this juncture of his career to both Nakamura and Tanahashi. And it's hard to say which of those two guys he's going to ultimately more closely align with. My gut kind of says it might wind up long-term him being more of a Nakamura figure than a Tanahashi figure.
It's a different world than then anyway. We're operating in an entirely different set.
Well, I'm using them as the archetypes because there's always been those archetypes through the entire history of New Japan. Even before them, there's always been a generation of the top guy and then the guy who really wasn't the top guy, but closely aligned.
Yeah, of course. But nothing can compare. Nothing in New Japan's history can compare to what's happened in New Japan over the last, say, 2 years with all the departures. So these guys are baking bread from scratch. They're not baking bread from a sourdough starter that's already made for them. They are starting from nothing, because none of those guys that could get them to where they want to go or could quickly elevate them, none of those guys are there. Literally none of them. None of them are there. None of them are available. This may as well be new New Japan. It's so unprecedented that it's so hard to look to history to say this is the path, because they've never had the exodus of the entire main event scene of almost an entire generation at this point. They're all gone.
It got pretty close with the Dark Ages. That's why I use those guys as a comparison point, because it is actually pretty close. They still did have some stars around, but most of their top stars, they did leave. Like they almost all retired or jumped ship. And they were at when Nakamura and Tanahashi were on the rise up, the third generation guys were the only ones left, and they were not big enough stars to draw.
Right, but at least they were there.
Right, and that's similar to like having Zach and Goto and guys that are there.
Yes, but Goto wasn't the guy. Goto wasn't that guy. Goto
And
wasn't
neither-
that guy.
And neither was Tenzan or Nagata, really.
Tenzan was.
Not really. You know, that's
more
what
than
I'm saying.
more than retconning Goto into being a top guy
Sure.
for that generation. That's not that ain't true.
Well, it's
He's
never
the
going to
top
be
guy.
it's never going to be a perfect 1-for-1 comparison, but it's pretty close.
I know, but I'm saying they're all gone.
Yeah.
Like they're all gone. Like there's no pull in case of emergency guy left.
And they didn't have that then either. None of those third generation guys could be pulled in case of emergency. They were the leftovers.
They're credible.
Not really. Not like the big names, the ones that were comparable to the guys that have left, they all left. You know, your Muto's left, Inoki retired, Choshu is gone. Chono was basically like on his last leg and unhealthy.
Way out, yeah.
Like Kensuke Sasaki, left. It's a very similar situation where like most of the big names and big stars, they did leave and they didn't have anybody and they had to start from scratch. And that's the reason I like to liken what is going on in modern times to the Dark Ages. Now, will it play out the same way? I don't know. It's a whole different, like you said, it's a whole different set of circumstances and challenges, but it is very close. And
there's also the like too big to fail situation too now. I mean, New Japan is, I don't want to say that they could never go under, but like they're probably at that point where they're going to be a pretty protected business and they've got enough invested into it and enough people invested into it that will continue to be invested in it. So, they do sort of have a more of a too big to fail. So some of these guys can be, happy to be here. And this generation is going to end up being the happy to be here generation, even down to Oleg, right? It's something that I was thinking when we were talking about him, like all these dudes come out and they're just happy to be here. And Tsuji is the least happy to just be here. And I think he's the most hungry of the bunch. And I think that's why I'm a little more accepting of him being in the position he's in, even though I don't think he's the best fit for it, but he's the one who wants it the most. And the rest of these guys, I mean, all the way through the generation, maybe aside from Yuto, Ice, like everyone else is pretty much just, that's their vibe. They're just like, this is my job. I'm here to do whatever I can do. And like, they're not like getting after it for themselves. They're not selfish enough. We need selfish pro wrestlers in New Japan. I'm tired of selflessness. Like, stop learning from Liger and Tanahashi and start learning from Muto and some of these other dudes that just like wouldn't put guys over. Like, or learn from all the dudes that left that wouldn't put you over and just like be that brazen and say like, nope, I'm the guy and you're gonna go with me and we like, I need that energy to show up on my screen and because it'll be inspiring to the rest of the roster. And I think we're maybe seeing a little bit of it. Tsuji's coming around. I'm turning the corner on Tsuji. I was really impressed that he grabbed the microphone after this match and had a killer promo in English, and he put a lot of effort into that, and he had he did a really good job, and I think that speaks to the effort he's willing to put in. But yeah, I don't know. That's my soapbox right now. It's that like I want to see some of these guys just be dicks, and like as the baby face, be like, no, I'm the dude. Like roll with me. And the only guy showing any of that is a little bit of Tsuji. Like I said, I'm turning a corner. And unfortunately, we're gonna have a month here where he doesn't really get to show much. And then, then you've got a tournament winner match, which is, oftentimes the less storied matches, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, from day one, I feel like Tsuji was a guy that had ace energy. Like, I felt that, that's not an angle was great, and he's had a lot of ace-like moments, and the title win the Dome was great. And so, yeah, I definitely think out of all those guys, maybe he's not 100% there, but he has the most ace-like energy and level of like, yes, like, this is my company, you do need to build around me. And yeah, maybe it needs to be turned up more, but yeah, I agree with you. Like, all the other guys, yeah, there definitely needs to be a little bit more edge from, your Uemuras and Oiwas and Umino and Bolton to kind of match that energy. Next question here from Make Way for Slide. Watching New Beginning USA got me thinking, what makes a great chop? Bolton's chops were thunderously loud, and you could see the impact on Ishii. A chop like Andrade's in the main event wasn't as loud, but had the great visual of knocking the sweat off Tsuji's chest. The chop is such a simple move, but it can really have an amazing impact, literally and figuratively, when done well.
I mean, it's pretty simple what makes a great chop. I've taken plenty of them, and they fucking suck, and it's one of the things I hate most about doing pro wrestling. A great chop is one that produces a very loud sound. It doesn't hurt that bad. Doesn't hit somebody in the nips, and does not thud. You don't want your chop to thud. You want your chop to reverberate and resonate and create audible sound. That doesn't mean it doesn't still produce pain, and that doesn't mean that it doesn't sting and that there isn't going to be sweat produced. Those are all byproducts, but the guys who don't know how to chop thud, and they don't make good sound, and they hit you in the wrong spots, whether it's the center of the chest, like the bone where it's not going to make good noise, or they hit you in the nips where it hurts really fucking bad. What you want to do is you want to hit them in the meaty part, and you want to produce the right kind of sound with your chop. That's pretty simple. That's about it. I mean, there's a few different ways to do it, but yeah.
And with that fire.
Anyone who's ever played a drum knows you don't leave the stick on the drum, right? Like when you hit it, like you don't just like hit it and leave your hand down. You bounce, you let it bounce. So that's part of it. Also, my understanding is you can give yourself a good chop and get the good sound.
Yeah.
And not be like reeling in pain. Like you can do it to yourself.
Yeah.
If you're good at it.
This is more about the receiving end. You can also build up calluses to take chops by just periodically taking chops. So like when I was wrestling, one of the things that my wife, now girlfriend at the time, loved doing was giving me chops. I needed, because you need someone to give you chops so that you can build up a calluses so it doesn't hurt when you take them. Although taking them from Tony Donati still fucking sucks and hurts no matter what. Yeah. So
I just picture you walking around the corner and make it just like bow.
No, it was never sprung on me. No, what the real picture would be like, it'd be like me lifting my shirt, like, come on, please, just give me a couple more chops. Like, I don't fucking want. Fine.
Nah, you're just walking around shirtless, waiting, just waiting for one to come around the corner. Woof.
All right, well, that was New Beginning USA. Let's jump into the New Japan Cup preview. The tournament kicks off on March 4th. So I got the bracket here in the rundown. I don't know how you guys want to do that. I always forget how we do this. You want to go kind of quadrant by quadrant, and
that's how we always do it.
I think the quadrant is the easiest way to digest, and then we can take kind of the final four.
All right. Well, let's take a look at that top left quadrant there. So we got Yuya Uemura versus Great Okan. Winner that will get Drill Maloney. Aaron Wolf versus Don Fale, and the winner of that will get Shingo Takagi.
And this is all on Wednesday. What is it? Wednesday the 4th.
Yes.
So coming up here in just a day or two.
And for those of you that don't know, sportofprowrestling.net .com, the 2026 New Japan Cup Bracket Challenge is live, and I am actually jumping on the website as we speak.
Do your bracket. Do your bracket while you're here, because you never get into these things. Yeah, sporterprowrestling.com. We have the bracket challenge, the longest running New Japan Cup bracket challenge. We've been doing these since 2021 when I accidentally won my own contest. And yeah. So those are up there. We got a good clip of we got a good amount of entries, and they'll come through over the last 30 some odd hours here. So yeah. Tournament starts Wednesday. For those who don't know, the New Japan Cup is a single elimination tournament. So it's your classic March Madness kind of thing. So you lose, you're out, you win, you move on. So the top left here, I have Uemura going over Great Okan, but I cannot rule out, it's night one, right? I cannot rule out the night one main event being a surprise, considering how much investment is going into United Empire right now, and Great Okan is in the United Empire. He's been sort of downcycled at least a little bit in that world, but we're seeing some investment in that unit right now, and he's a member of that unit in the main event of the first night of the New Japan Cup in Korakuen Hall, where he's probably the most, beloved in Korakuen. So as is Yuya for that matter, because he's a homegrown guy and he's a guy that people seem to believe in, and I certainly believe in. But it's like one of those things where, like, I say Yuya is going to win, but I don't have the total confidence that that's not that round one upset.
Yeah, I think you echo my exact sentiments on this. Knowing that the winner is going to go through to face Drilla in the next round, who has inexplicably been given, a bye. We already talked about the byes earlier, but like, we don't know why these particular individuals got the bye. I'm not even saying Drilla shouldn't get one. It's just random as fuck. We don't know why he got it.
He got a bye. He re-signed.
That was a part of the signing bonus.
Yeah.
So with that being said, though, is like, I'm hoping personally that one of the major overarching themes of this year's New Japan Cup is the next generation. And we see guys that are from a younger generation rise up and get unexpected victories. So I'm kind of hoping that Yuya Uemura beating Great Okan is the shock on night one, instead of it being like, oh, he's the favorite and the bad guy beats him. Either way, I think either one of those two outcomes is pretty plausible going into the next round against Drilla. I think they both work. I'm holding out hope, though, that because Callum is on the other side of the bracket and they've also got Hanare on the lower quadrant, that they're not necessarily banking on having to have Great Okan go through here. So I'm picking Yuya Uemura for that reason.
Yeah, I'm also going with you. Yeah, something I just thought about, though, is, there was the War Dragons versus Okan and Hanare. So if you want to kind of continue that, you could have Okan win to go against Drilla. So that's some seeds there. But however, I'm still feeling stronger about Yuya, even though they have been pushing United Empire based on what happened in New Beginning Osaka. A lot of those guys lost when you thought maybe they would have won. And I feel like Okan Hanare was one of those teams where it's like, oh, they built up some momentum. Hanare's back. Drilla might be on the way out. This is a way to kind of maybe get them towards the tag team titles, and they lost. So to me, I still feel like guys like Hanare and Okan are still kind of lower priority for New Japan booking right now. And so I think that's why Yu is going to win here. I think it's really important that they, I don't know, I've kind of sold all my Great Okan stock at this point. I feel like Yu is the guy that you really need to get going. There's a lot of upside there, and I think him having a good New Japan Cup is a must right now.
Agreed.
Yep.
So Aaron Wolf and Fale.
Well, this is an interesting one. I'll say this. Don Fale, obviously heavy from House of Torture. Aaron Wolf.
He's heavy.
A heavy, right? The heaviest of heavies in this company.
As my daughter would say, oh, it's heavy.
And, Aaron Wolf is entrenched right now with House of Torture, or at least it seems to be that they'll continue that feud. So on the one hand, you might be saying, okay, they always do, shocking defeats in these tournaments, and getting Aaron Wolf out of there early against someone like Don Fale can continue the House of Torture storyline and give him something to kind of come up, try to overcome, get sympathy on the babyface and this big obstacle and yada, yada, yada. On the other hand, Ren Narita's right on the same side of the bracket as he is, just in a lower quadrant. And
that cannot be the final four.
I think right now, with Aaron Wolf, I think if he beats Don Fale, and people will think maybe I'm being crazy here, but I could see a very plausible path to him getting into the semifinals or maybe even the finals, potentially by just beating Don Fale. I think he's got a very good case and argument to go deep in this tournament, but it's all going to hinge on, does the booking allow him to overcome Fale here, or is he going to slip on the banana peel once again? And should they even be booking him that way at all, which many people would say no.
I just don't think they took the Never title off of him. Well, at first I thought they took the Never title off of him because there was nowhere else for the House of Torture story to go with Evil out of the picture. So they were like, all right, well, we don't have to, we can't take that path. So we're going to get that title off of him so he can do something else. And then the New Japan Cup brackets dropped, like 24 hours later. And I was like, I was wrong. Cause he's just back in there. And I don't think you put him back in there with Fale being the guy he's not the big boss of this whole situation now, right? I guess it's Narita. So why do you put him in there with Fale unless he's sort of the plausible way to get him out of the tournament? And my second question, as I was talking through this with somebody else, was, is Shingo Takagi the first kind of true non-House of Torture, non-angle disguised as singles match that Aaron Wolf is going to have in New Japan? That feels crazy to me too. Shingo is great, obviously, objectively a great pro wrestler, but he's not really that guy that they put guys in there with to develop. He's the guy that you sort of acts as a proving ground to get into a main event or get into a next level situation. I mean, maybe, but I'd be a little surprised. I'd be more surprised by that than them, doing a schmoz and bouncing him in the first round. And maybe that's the upset surprise, which I don't know, based on the people I'm talking to, most people are actually starting to expect it.
Yeah, I kind of see Fale serving a similar role like he did with Bolton Oleg. Oleg got a first round victory. I think it was either last year or the year before, or Fale. And it was kind of an impressive kind of thing of Oleg, being able to pick this guy up for the kamikaze and put him down. And so I think that's kind of where they're going here of let's give Aaron Wolf, let's get the impressive, judo throw on Fale, kind of build some steam back up, because I still think that they really made him look like a geek with that whole Narita thing. So if I were them, I would have him go in here, not super long. He fights for the judo throw the whole match, finally throws Fale, gets the pin, taps him out or whatever, and moves on. And then I think Shingo is a guy, like you mentioned, he's normally not in the, all right, let's put you up against a young lion kind of situation, but I think he's a great guy for that. And I think that he's talented enough to put together a match where he can, elevate Wolf's strengths and hide the weaknesses. I mean, a match with Shingo is, can be a lot of strike based. Let's throw, forearms, let's throw lariats, drop your big elbow, let's do some big bombs and then get out of there. And so I think Aaron Wolf needs to be working a guy like Shingo. Like you mentioned, he's been doing all these smoke and mirror, House of Torture crap. It's no, go out there, wrestle a guy like Shingo, and learn on the job, learn what a real match should be like, and let's get going from there.
I will say, Shingo.
I think he should. I think they should do that.
Yeah.
I don't know that they will do that. In the bracket challenge, 84% of people do think that Aaron Wolf's going to win. I'm about to have a run in over here. Sorry.
Good.
I think, I feel like most people I've spoken to are under the assumption and belief that Fale is going to act as that stumbling block for this guy, but, one thing I will say is, while I agree with you, Chris, it's not often that we've seen Shingo as be like the developmental guy. We did see him sort of facilitate that role against Callum Newman in his first G1, and that was pretty successful. And maybe they could do something similar here. The other thing too is like if they have Fale be the guy that beats Aaron Wolf, and the idea is.
then you've got to have Fale versus Shingo, and that sucks too.
Yeah, you're gonna get Fale and Shingo. That's gonna suck. And then you're also, and then the idea there is probably what's management telling us? They're probably telling us that they don't have faith in this guy to do a full New Japan Cup tournament, which they're still protecting him. Which is like again that intentionality that I talked about earlier. It's like, what is the plan then? Did you guys have a plan, or was it all just like a payoff at the Tokyo Dome? And that's all that was. I choose to believe that this company has turned a new leaf with their book, that Gedo is inspired once again, quote unquote, and that we're getting good things. And so a bad thing would be we don't want to sell tickets. We don't want to put Aaron Wolf on a marquee, later on in the tour. And we want to job him out twice in a row to geeks and look bad. And I'm hoping that those worst tendencies, things that they might have done plausibly in the last couple of years, that they're going to not do that and give me a good match that I would like to see in Shingo and Aaron Wolf. So I choose to have faith and be optimistic here and believe that he's going to, what Rich said earlier in the comments, body slam this dude like Hogan and Andre and Pontiac and get
in front of 300,000 people.
Yeah. 300,000, get him out of here. So he's going to move on. Rich says, I was told this guy was supposed to be the ace.
Fale has lost in the first round of the New Japan Cup 4 straight years.
Oh, so God. He's poised to break that.
So there's hope. There's hope for all of us.
Yeah, I'm going to look for the, I'm going to go with the better option here. I'm going to go with Wolf versus Shingo. So that would put us with, I think we're all going Yuya, right?
I
went Yuya.
Okay, so we have Yuya versus Drilla, and then Wolf versus Shingo.
Oh, so we're gonna finish out the whole block. All right.
Yeah, let's do it. We're doing quadrants here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then that is going to be tough for me. So at that point we got Yuya and Drilla, and then we've also got Shingo and Aaron Wolf. So I mean, that's a stellar lineup with those 4 matches. But how do we see that playing out? We got 2 War Dragons there, by the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think Yuya goes through over Drilla. And I think I mean to me the likely
This is what I was saying earlier. If Aaron Wolf doesn't lose to Fale, I think he has to pretty much go deep, and I think he beats Shingo. That's just my personal opinion. I think he probably beats either Uemura, Okan, or Maloney. I think he's the guy coming out of that block going into the semifinals.
Oh, I disagree wholeheartedly then.
Yeah, so for me, I would have Yuya go over Drilla, and then I would have Shingo over Wolf. And that's just because I don't think that the company has as much faith in him to have him go super deep in this tournament. We've been seeing that. Like, clearly, there are things that they are worried about, why they hide him in 6-man, 8-mans, and he does nothing in those matches, and he has to work these How the Torture gimmick style matches. So there's definitely something that's quite not there. Like, I think Shingo is good enough to get him through a good match. I don't know if you go Wolf Drilla or Wolf Yuya. Yuya and Drilla are very good, but are they going to get Wolf to that, really good match? I don't know. I just don't feel like Wolf is.
If he's going to lose to Shingo, then he should just lose to Fale.
Well, that's sort of how that's where I landed the last time I had one of these discussions. I was like, screw it, knock him out in the first. Then
that is the truth here. And they're in a no-win situation based on how they booked him against. If he had beat Ren Narita, then he could be totally fine to take a loss to a guy like Fale, especially since he would still be a protected champion. But because he just came off that big loss, he really can't afford to take the loss to Fale. But if he's beating Fale, he should not be losing to Yuya Uemura, Great Okandrilla, Maloney, or Shingo Takagi that early in the tournament. He should
still be losing to Yuya Uemura.
Not in this tournament at this particular time. Maybe later, but right now he really shouldn't. He should go because these are not meaningful losses that are going to do anything for his character right now.
Right. Well, and that's why when I was talking to someone else about this behind a paywall, I ended up by saying, well, okay, Fale wins then. Because that to me, that makes more sense. It makes more sense. And I, we all see the writing on the wall that they don't seem to think he can deliver in a normal thing. He should be wrestling Nagata and Oleg and, those dudes that can get you through a match, right? He should be Shingo, Ishii, even Hanare, right? Like some of those guys that have been around, been in the system for a long time. He should be in there wrestling them in front of people. But he's in the House of Torture death cycle. And, with that, I don't think they're going to put him in there with Shingo. So, I mean, either way, Shingo's the guy that's coming out into, for me, on my bracket, Shingo's the guy coming out of this second round in that space, whether it's Wolf or Fale. Shingo's winning and moving on and facing Yuya Uemura. Like that's my quote unquote Elite 8 match.
Same.
But I'm not super confident in how they get there regarding Aaron Wolf. We don't know enough about what we don't know enough about what Wolf can do or what they want him to do. What do they need? Right? Do they need him to be that guy? If they needed him to be that guy, they wouldn't have taken the Never belt off of him. They would have he'd still be a champion and they would have done what I thought they were doing, which is moving on from the House of Torture story because there's no one meaningful left in the House of Torture, but they're hiding him. They're hiding him and his skills behind House of Torture shtick. And they're going to get at least 6 months out of that. And so be it. It is what it is, but like call a spade a spade. Like that's what's happening. He's not ready. He's not ready to get in there, even with guys like Nagata or, Shingo, you name it, right? Any of those guys that could drag you through a great match, they could drag me through a great match, and I've never set foot in a wrestling ring, right? But like, I don't think they buy him. So, and to me, the most logical thing then turns into you bounce him with a story, and again, when I look at the rest of my bracket, it sort of doesn't matter because I still have Shingo coming out of the next match, no matter what.
And see, I agree with you. I think if hypothetically they had just moved on from House of Torture and he wasn't against Don Fale and it was sort of like, we're starting back at square one and he's going to prove himself in this tournament, then he could face some tough guys and, take a win, take a loss, and then and develop something out of there. But because he's got Fale in that first round, House of Torture becomes the defining story for me. And I'm just gonna be honest here. Here's the way I see it. This is just my personal prediction on everything for this part of the block. If he beats Don Fale, then he needs to go to the semifinals and he needs to be fighting Ren Narita. Or if that's not going to happen, he needs to lose to Don Fale. He should not be losing to Shingo. And it probably should be Yuya Uemura coming out of this quadrant as the guy.
I'm sure you know what I'm going to say. It should be Yuya Uemura coming out of this quadrant no matter what. Because the New Japan Cup is the perfect opportunity to elevate a guy into, I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it with Finlay. We've seen it with Umina going to the finals. We've like those guys. All of a sudden, they're a little more credible because they've got this tournament. This tournament's not the G1, right? You can do something a little more I don't even want to call it risky, but a little more like establishing with the New Japan Cup as opposed to the G1. G1 is sort of its own thing. It's almost as big as winning the world title, right? It's to win the G1 is at that level. To win the New Japan Cup is not. It's not at that level. It's similar. It could be. You could turn it into being your long-term story. Zack Sabre Jr., Hiroki Goto, right? Like those really credible challengers for a really long time that eventually got their shot because everyone else left. But you know, this is a great time to look at someone like Yuya and say, okay, like we're gonna put you in a position where you're seen as a main eventer now, right? And the New Japan Cup can certainly establish that. Maybe it's not going to put him into you're always a main eventer, but you could be a main eventer. And whoever goes to the finals sort of gets that. And I think Yuya is my prime candidate. There's a couple right throughout the brackets, and we'll talk about them all. Yuya is my prime candidate for the guy who's finally, I think, both ready from a performance standpoint, but seen as ready from a just literal time on the main, quote unquote, main roster type. He's primed for it, at least for a run close to or into the final. So I believe strongly that Yuya is coming out of this quadrant.
Yeah, and I think there has to be a reason why they didn't go with the tag title with Yuya and Shota. Like, I feel like there's going to be some kind of story element with those guys in this tournament, and I feel like they're both going to be focuses. Also, they're on opposite side of the blocks, and I think we'll kind of get into what the potentials there of them facing down the line. But I think there's a big story there about, all right, we failed as a tag team. We're going back to singles. We need to elevate these guys in a single. They're not tag team guys. They're meant to be singles guys, and we need to elevate them. So, yeah, I do think that I also have Yuya coming out of this quadrant, and I think that makes the most sense. For Aaron Wolf, why I have him losing to Shingo is I feel like he's still wearing the black trunks. He's kind of a quasi young lion, and I feel like him going out there and kind of having a like fighting spirit style match and taking it to Shingo does kind of help his character and being like, all right,
yeah.
He can go in there. He went in there with Shingo. He kind of caught Shingo by surprise at some points in the match, but he ultimately fell to the veteran, and there's still a lot more for him to learn. I think that's a way to go. Since he's already lost now, the genie's out of the bottle. Like, I think that him eating some bigger losses to guys like Shingo is okay right now to help him kind of develop and get that fighting spirit edge.
And maybe you get that moment with where Shingo gives, the hat tip at the end where he's like, man, it was better than I thought it was going to be, but I still won, right? Like, yeah. And that could be meaningful. So I'm open to that. I would prefer that, obviously. It doesn't feel like New Japan booking, though. That's like the vibes aren't there for that for me. I think the vibes are, we have to continue. We need House of Torture to have credibility in the absence of evil, the person, not not the concept, because the concept is there. But they need, I think they need House of Torture to remain credible. So I'm worried about anyone in House of Torture in this tournament, because I think they're going to get a little lift from sort of the panic of not having someone who's been a top guy leading the unit.
I think you guys might have inadvertently sold me on the idea of him losing. I'm speaking of Aaron Wolf, that is, of beating Shingo to give him a second credible win to rebuild his credibility, and then maybe have him lose to a Yuya Uemura who is potentially going to the finals. I think that could be a loss that is a little more palatable for the sake of like credibility's purposes, How many arm throws would be in that match?
A lot. They would just all be arm throws.
I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but one thing I do need to point out. So Jeremy, you mentioned potentially Shingo and Yuya and that being something here, maybe them being a finals or alluding to that. But we also have to think of, or I'm sorry, Shota, my bad. But we have to think of the Cal Newman of it all. And that's the one kind of like,
Yeah.
where the monkey wrench where I'm like, that's tripping me up on this whole thing, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, there's a new, I don't know if you guys read it. There's a Yu Uemura interview on NJPW 1972 where he basically talks about that the tag team was great. They had a good time. They tried and they didn't make it. So they're not going to tag. Him and Umino aren't going to tag anymore. And a lot of people in some of my circles were like, oh, I can't believe they're not going to make a feud out of it. And I was like, oh, go look at your brackets, friends. Like if they want to, they could, right? And you know, if they want to, they will. And it'll come out of this, right? It will come out of this tournament where they're both like, nah, we're good. We were friends and we were doing a great job. But we didn't win that tournament. And we didn't win these 2 title shots. And like, and then they're going to, if they meet in the finals, everyone's going to be like, oh, are they just going to be friendly? And then like someone's going to lose their mind and they're going to turn, right? Or not turn. I don't know. I mean, I'd be a little surprised by that. But yeah, I think that there's a certain possibility. They're definitely talking about it enough to make it plausible that Yuya and Shota is on the table as a possible final.
Yeah. So Chris and I, we got Yuya coming out that quadrant. Josh, are you going Wolf coming out there? Or are you going?
I've got it as Wolf and Uemura as the finals there, and I'm pretty torn. I was really going with Wolf and Narita, but it's hard for me to see either of those two guys realistically going to the actual finals. So I'm gonna go with Uemura over Aaron Wolf, this is a wacky.
That'd be sick.
Yeah,
it's a wacky
cool
bracket.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it, but I
also feel like sometimes you have to be bold to win this shit. You have to.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the shit that no one else is gonna do.
That's gambling.
All right, so let's go down to that bottom left quadrant. So we got Taichi and Ren Narita. Winner gets Ishii. Then ELP versus Bolton Oleg, and the winner gets Hanare.
I feel pretty confident Ren Narita is going to beat Taichi.
I desperately want you to be wrong, but I agree with you.
I at first I was booking a Taichi first round upset, get him a never title match, but I'm like,
well, also I want Taichi
and Ishii.
Yeah,
I mean
that match would just fucking roll.
They go.
They're not going to do it.
They are not going to do it. So yeah, Narita's winning that match. I'd be stunned if that's not the case.
Yeah,
I want to be stunned. El Phantasmo, Bolton Oleg.
I got Oleg Bolton going over here. I know that it might be like the sexy pick to be like, yeah, he just won that strong title and they need a separate challenger. But I don't know how important that's even really going to be anyways. And I don't know. ELP could beat him, but I don't think he will.
Yeah, no, this feels like a classic, like ELP could plausibly win and beat Oleg, but that doesn't feel like the move.
Yeah, I'm going with Bolton, especially after the whole ELP, I'm down on my luck, I keep losing kind of thing. I think that's going to be his story.
Plus, the winner gets Hanare. And which of those two matches would you rather see?
Yeah, let's get
Could you imagine if the next round on this quadrant was Taichi versus Ishii and Oleg versus Hanare?
Yeah, it'd be fucking sick.
Like
yeah,
that's
amazing,
just
yeah.
That's just like this quadrant. It just should become a tournament for the never openweight title. Then
I will tell you this: if this bottom left hand quadrant was in the bottom right quadrant, I would be booking it that way, because that bottom right quadrant historically is like always this kind of forgotten one that nobody cares about. Goto tends to come out of it, or like Evil. And it's always heavy hitters doing like cool never shit. So I wish they were on that side, because I would book it that way.
So we got we're saying it's going to be Narita versus Ishii and Bolton versus Hanare.
This is how we're getting the Ishii comeback. Okay, Ishii's going to beat Narita, and then he's going to fight Oleg Bolton. See, it all comes back together. He gets the win back
it's
on
the
Oleg
real
Bolton.
win.
And then he's going to drop this fucking punk Yu Uemura on his dome. No, Red Narita is going to win.
yeah, I think that's true.
There's a part of me that really wants to book an Ishii win. So
you can do whatever you want.
To get an Ishii versus Bolton or Hinare. Because, I mean, you could set up a Never challenge. You can have Ishii, challenge Narita for the Never title.
I'm taking it a different direction because all I really want is Narita and Oleg to meet and Oleg to win so that they merge those damn titles.
That's kind of where I'm going
in the next match, right? Like not in this one, but like Oleg wins and is like, I have a title, and Narita wins, and Narita's like, yeah, I have a title too, and they're like, oh, we should fight, and then they merge the titles and then call it a day. Or I mean, what would really happen? What would genuinely actually happen is they would do all that. We would get excited about it, probably on this show. We'd be like, oh, yeah, they're finally doing the thing where they consolidate the titles. And like, we're all very excited by it. And then it would just be a dude hanging out with 2 belts. And then someone would lose it in America. And then we'd be like, oh, no. And then they would lose it to someone in CMLL. And then it'll just get lost in the ether. And Rocky Romero somehow is the champion soon.
They should do what they used to do in the 80s and just fight to a 60-minute Broadway and nobody loses their belt.
They should just lose the physical belts.
They should do a 2 out of 3 falls match, and then on the 3rd fall, they go to a double count out at 35 minutes and 47 seconds.
Gosh.
Anyways, I would love for Hinare to beat Oleg Boltin, but I don't think he will. So I got Oleg Boltin going through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Boltin. But I'm going with Ishii over Narita.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I mean here's the thing, Narita.
The cool thing, you don't have to be on this show to defend it.
Right.
in a week or two.
Narita being the Never champion, typically you would expect the Never champion to potentially take a loss and then defend that title in the future, but he's fighting older guys that just are kind of no-hopers in this. There is no plausible challenger so far in his, portion of the bracket.
Yeah.
Unless you think like Taichi upsets him and then he's going to, do a standby defense to Taichi, but I don't think that's happening. So I think it's going to be Narita and Oleg Boltin. And I am truly, actually, personally, I would love for it to be Oleg Boltin to go in against Yuya Uemura. But I'm not fully convinced that they're not going to have heel Ren Narita come out of the bracket because they kind of like to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going Ren Narita.
In this scenario, am also going Ren Narita. And I think that'll make sense as I go through the rest of, once we get to my final 4, I think it'll make sense. It'll be the final 4 of my own dreams.
And I'm going to go with Big Tom Ish.
Oh, give me Yuya versus Big Tom Ish in the semis.
Beat Narita, beats Boltin Oleg, and we got Yuya versus Ishii.
And you know what? He's banking title matches for later.
Yeah. I was making jokes earlier about me booking Ishii to go all the way through. Little did I know Jeremy's already done that. And
Ishii's going to the finals, baby.
So
bangers only.
So let's move over to the top right then. We got Yoshihashi taking on Jake Lee.
It's dire.
Winner gets...
Wait. Watch Yoshihashi get a much better match out of Jake
Honestly,
Lee than Yota.
He probably will. He probably will. That's on the anniversary show.
I got Jake Lee. Just the winner's getting Goto, and I would love to see, Bishamon explode or whatever, but it's going to be Jake Lee.
Oh, that'd be so sick, though.
Yeah, got Jake Lee. So, Jake Lee going against Goto on the 13th. And then also we got Oscar versus Callum Newman. The winner gets Harley Jackson.
It's going to be weird to see, Callum Newman, who's not a small man, but compared to Oscar, a much smaller.
He's huge. No, Callum's taller than Ospreay.
How tall is he?
He's, I don't know, whatever taller than Ospreay is. I saw that angle and
Ospreay's not that tall.
No, he's tall, dude. He's taller than me. You're tall. You're tall. You're a tall.
I don't feel that. I'm 6'2".
You're tall, dude. You're taller than me. I'm 6 foot. You're taller than me.
Yeah, with all that being said, though,
Callum's a big dude. He's bigger than like Oscar's a very big dude.
But Oscar's like 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", something like that.
Yeah.
But he's like Billy Gunn size.
But Newman's not little. Billy Gunn. We all know.
It is interesting. I predicted all year that I thought KOB were going to drop their belts so they could have some sort of somewhat meaningful runs through the New Japan Cup. And it's very clear the way that they're booked in these quadrants. They're just, because they're still tag champions, they're not really going to do much in this tournament. So
I think Callum comes out.
Yeah, Callum's going to win.
Yeah, definitely go with Newman with that push that he's getting. So that gives us Newman versus Hartley Jackson, and then Jake Lee versus Goto.
Well, since the winner of this is going to go on and fight Callum Newman, right? Van Damage to 6-1 according to Wiki. And that means, but he's probably like, they lie. They usually
he's tall. He's tall. Yeah, that was probably when Ospreay signed him or whatever to his thing, and like when he was like 16.
I gotta imagine Goto's probably gonna beat Jake Lee, just because I can't imagine it being Callum Newman and Jake Lee.
Yeah, I'll go with Goto. Yeah, beating Jake Lee and Newman beating Hartley Jackson.
Also, it gets you back to Goto and Newman, which was an underrated, maybe not underrated, underappreciated, I'll call it, title match last year, because it sort of came out of nowhere, but it was way better than anyone thought it was going to be. And I think this could be a cool callback. And, with that said, this is Callum getting his win back, and Callum goes on into the Final Four.
Yeah. Then bottom right block, we got Shooter versus Chase Owens. The winner gets Yujiro.
So to be clear, we're all picking Callum Newman to go over Goto.
Yes.
Pretty monumental if you think about it from that aspect.
Especially in the New Japan Cup, which is, sort of Goto's, it's sort of his thing.
Yeah.
All right, so we all got a crown jewel, right?
Lone Star Outlaw.
Oh God! Do we have to watch? We have to watch those.
Oh man,
we get to.
No,
to watch those.
No, that's not it.
Actually, you know what's funny? You don't even really get to, because they don't air them on New Japan. You have to go to YouTube and look for them.
I will.
So Shota Umino is going to go over.
Yeah, so that gives us Shooter versus Yujiro.
And then
Shooter winning that.
Yujiro, who hasn't won a singles match in any capacity in four years.
Now, here is where I'm actually a little more torn out of anywhere else in the tournament, is this kind of little triad between Yuto, Ice, Oiwa, and Zach.
Yeah, that's a tough.
I spent a lot of time on this little quadrant here and there.
Just staring at it, avoiding his future, all the thoughts he has to think of. He's like, but who wins Oiwa and Yuto?
Yeah.
I think
isn't Yuto Ice his senior?
No, they debuted together.
What, when Yuto Ice got hurt?
When he came back.
When he came back. Okay. So yeah, but he is his senior. Like he was in the dojo first, I would assume.
I would assume so, yeah. Yeah.
But Oiwa has kind of been around longer. He came back from excursion sooner.
Right.
Like, so it's a weird feeling, because he's a little more established, but Yuto Ice has already like won gold. Oiwa's never done that. It's a weird, like, where they're at in the hierarchy of everything. And then the winner goes on to fight Zach. And it's like, do you do the interfactional thing with Oiwa and Zach, or do they kind of give a little bit of the nudge to Yuto Ice and see what him and Zach can do together, like kind of test the waters?
Yeah, and I kind of feel like there's some Umino storyline options with both Ice and Zach, where also they just came off of that tag feud of KOB, so you can get to Umino versus Yuto Ice and finally have Umino kind of beat Yuto and kind of get that KOB stuff behind him. Or you could run back Shota and Zach, which they've kind of had a rivalry lead from the Dome, and they had some other rematches that were better than the Dome match. Then you could have Shota like definitively beating Zack to get through.
Well, here's one other thing. Oiwa has wrestled Zack in singles matches and never beaten him yet.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to have that happen, here is kind of a safe place where that could take place.
Mm-hmm.
I think whoever's coming out of this side beats Zack to get
I
there.
can't see Yuto Ice running through both these guys right now.
I can't either. But I could see Zack moving on and Shota beating Zack. So by this side, I mean like this quadrant of the bracket.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever comes out of this quadrant of the bracket is beating Zack.
I think that it's going to be Zack and Shota again.
That's what I have. Zack and Shota.
I'm going to put Yuto Ice through just to give him a little taste of a victory and blah, blah, blah. And then have Zack beat him and then have Shota beat Zack.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
And with that, then you've got Uemura going through Shingo. You've got Newman going through Goto. And you've got Shota going through Zack. So 3 of the 4 guys who ended up in the final 4 went through a former world champion.
And Narita went through Oleg Boltin.
And Tomohiro Ishii.
And Ishii, I guess. Yeah. I mean, that's the only one that doesn't line up for my,
That's
Illuminati.
why it should be in the bottom right, because that's typically how the bottom right usually works out
it's
in
just
these
like
things.
no world champion. So but yeah, I mean, and with that, my final 4 then is Yuya versus Ren Narita, and then Callum Newman versus Shota Umino. So you've got a semifinal night of announcing this next generation, all fighting towards Yota Tsuji, who is the clear leader of that generation. So they have a chance here to establish this generation as like the guys. They almost always put one of those established vets in the final 4 though.
Let's go. Big Tom-ish.
If I were to guess, it would be Goto.
It would be either Goto or honestly Shingo.
Yeah, or it could be Shingo.
Because like Uemura's like, I think his story is going to be like heartbreak.
I'm thinking more
but more like aw shucks heartbreak, not like Naito heartbreak.
Yeah.
The reason I say Goto though is because I'm thinking more of just like business standpoint and who like had the most success most recently, and like it's him.
My other thing about Goto is that you've got Callum Newman. I think it's out there. He's on a 3-year deal, so the amount of hurry behind the Callum Newman push, it doesn't have to start right now.
Right.
It can start in a little bit. And then you've got Umino against Goto in the semis. And I think that's a plausible option too. Also could be great.
So, I mean, at that point, you would basically have Umino going through Zack and Goto.
Mm.
I mean, if they have him do that, then he pretty much should just win the tournament at that point.
No, he shouldn't.
You don't think so?
No, because then he thinks he's got this momentum, right? And then who comes in and beats him in the final? His tag team partner. Heartbreak. And then people might actually get into Shota Umino because he needs like genuine heartbreak.
Well, the real heartbreak is going to be when neither of these guys can beat Tsuji. So.
My only thought is, my only pause on it all is that if Uemura wins the New Japan Cup, he's not winning the G1, and I would rather he win the G1 and the dome match be Uemura and Tsuji, because Tsuji's a guy who's going to say, no, we do things by tradition. You don't get your title match in Ryogoku in October. You get your title match in the dome. Let's do the dome, right? Like that, you could get there storyline wise. And I think that that'd be a badass, way to really establish those guys as generational rivals, which they already are. And they're already attached, but Umino's a part of that too, but he's already sort of had his shot, but they need to build him up with some genuinely heartbreaking stuff where you're like, oh, I'm starting to buy into this guy, and then poof, he loses. Like they need to do the opposite of what they did with him before. They need to force him into earning it.
Yeah, I have Umino and Yuya as my finals. I have Yuya going over Umino.
I think that's what I'm picking too. I think I'm picking Yuya Uemura over Shota Umino personally.
Because I feel like, that Umino, that Uemura Tsuji, like they've kind of built that up a lot. And there was a match where Uemura got hurt. And so there's a lot of lore and history between those two guys. I think that's a great thing to bring back for Sakura Genesis. I think that match could draw for that show.
Oh, that match would draw big. And I think this final would draw.
Yeah.
Umino versus Uemura. I think that would draw big.
I think if they were to have Umino, I think the only thing that makes sense to me is him going through and fighting Callum Newman. I don't think it would make sense for him to go through, beat Zach, and beat Goto, and then lose in the final. Even though it is a heartbreak, I personally just think it's too much to give to him to have him falter at the 1 yard line there. I think he would just have to go through. And since they are still trying to build some credibility to Callum Newman, he just came off the big win over Finley, and they're trying, just like how they're trying to rebuild House of Torture, they're also rebuilding United Empire. I just think that makes the most sense. And I think Yuya being a little bit junior to Shota Umino, beating him here, getting the big, kind of push, and then all the history with him and Tsuji, I think a lot of that makes sense. And here's the one thing I've thought a lot about, and you guys tell me if you feel differently. Do you see a single name on here right now, today, just looking at the entire bracket, that you feel could not not plausibly, but strongly beat Tsuji in April? Is there a single name that jumps out and you're like, I would favor them against Tsuji in April?
Not really.
No, but
I don't see it. I see plausible names, but there's do it.
There's definitely guys I don't rule out. Like even Uemura, I don't rule out him winning that title match, because maybe this is just a season of, how New Japan does. They give everyone the title just to prove they can, and then you've got these and it works, right? I mean, this is a time tested, proven strategy, is that they give guys a short run or even a decent run with the title, just to prove that when they get back into that title mix, they're credible. And Uemura could be that dude too. I mean, they could do that. They could do that with Uemura. He's the only one that I think that it would really work with. Because Umino, I think people already sort of expect him to dip his toe into that water every now and then. Newman's another option, but again, I don't think they're going to have jokes aside, I don't think that push needs that pace. I think they do have some time to get him ready for it. Now, that doesn't mean he can't go to the final. But I think the more interesting final is Uemura and Umino, because they've done such a good job establishing them as pals that tag together. And I think that should be honored.
I don't think Callum Newman is going to win this. It is possible he could final. I don't think he's going to win this, but I will say this: of all the names on the entirety of this roster of guys that are in this tournament,
he's the guy.
If he were to go through and win, I would favor him more than anybody else to potentially upset Tsuji.
It's the Jay White thing.
Yeah, and I think
it would be the Jay White run.
As much as we complain about Tsuji holding both belts, if he were to lose, I think that kind of helps him, because then he's still the global champion after losing the heavyweight title, and he's still going to be in kind of an upper position. He can kind of build off of that, where, I think that him losing the global title first is not the best route.
Would he even defend the heavyweight title against Newman? He's a white guy.
I'll also say this, because I will push.
It's the only way to get a title shot.
There was that thing that you said there, Chris, where you talked about what New Japan typically does with first time title reigns. there are some exceptions to that, and I think Tsuji probably fits into this exception. When they're domestic stars when they're domestic stars and they believe in them and they want to give them a solidifying first reign, they don't just have them drop the title very quickly.
No, I agree.
But it's been Tsuji's a really long time since we've seen that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Tsuji's the only guy of that generation that I think that would be a candidate for that. Uemura, I don't even think if he won the title off of Tsuji, I don't even think he's holding the title for the G1.
Yeah.
Right? Somewhere along the line, he's losing it to someone.
And the thing I like about Yuya winning is that for the road to Secure Genesis, that Umino's probably going to be teaming with Yuya. And it's probably going to eat him alive to have to be in these preview tags against Tsuji and teaming with Uemura and not being the guy that's challenging.
That's interesting.
Why would they be teaming together?
Well, they're Hantai preview tags, so it'll be Hantai versus Unbound Company leading into Secure Genesis. So you're and they've been recently teaming, so you're probably going to get like Umino, Uemura, and whoever against Tsuji, Shingo, and Daiki Nagai, or whatever, in your preview tags.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what the old adage is, the thing that we've always pointed out, it's not, it doesn't always hold true, but more often than not, it's the case. The guy that's the runner-up in this tournament typically gets the main defense anyways. So there could be a very strong story there if it is, in fact, the final that we're predicting, these two Hantai guys. Wildstorm, is that their name?
Rough Storm, which I think is a name that was made up on Reddit.
No, it's real. Rough Storm. Rough Storm gets, they both challenge Tsuji, and either one of them wins or they both fail. And then now it's like this tension between them because they both had a shot against the guy. They both were unsuccessful, blah, 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 and who knows what happens going into Dominion or going into the G1 and what comes out of that.
Yeah.
That it sort of makes it, to me, the runner-up almost always challenges at Dontaku. It almost feels like that's Callum Newman's spot.
Could be. And I think that there could be a strong argument that you see Callum Newman versus Uemura as the final.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well, that's in the bracket challenge. That is 100% the most likely final that's being picked. So in the bracket challenge, 42% believe Uemura is winning this tournament, and 27% think Callum Newman's winning the tournament. Those are by far the leaders. And Umino is right. Shota Umino is right behind that with 12%. Everyone else is under 5%. So like those are the three guys that people think are going to win this tournament. Like unequivocally. But yeah, Yuya with 42% of the vote is I just think in that quadrant of the bracket, it's hard to knock him out. Like when you're looking at who else is up there, like there's one option and it's really just that it's an upset. No, in the top left. I mean, Uemura getting to the final.
You're talking about Newman.
No, Newman too, sort of, but Goto and Goto, yeah.
In the top left, you're talking about
Uemura, yeah. I mean, it's hard to knock him out, but I mean, Shingo's there. Come on,
don't discount Aaron Wolf, boy.
No, I mean, I don't discount his importance.
I can't wait till he finals this shit. I can't wait till the finals on the semifinals is him and Ishii.
I want him to be that good that I'm like, hell yeah, I'm glad they went with him. But like they're sort of telling us that they don't believe that.
Yeah.
Him and Ishii semifinal, and then him and Zach in the final, and he taps out Zack Sabre Jr. That's
yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like we got Yuya as our New Japan Cup winner. So we'll see if that happens. But I do think that there is a strong chance of Newman facing Yuya in the finals, potentially even winning. The thing that kind of deterred me from Newman was just the whole tag team thing with Umino and Yuya, and there has to be a reason why they didn't beat KOB. And the story is, we were not meant to be a tag team. We were meant to be rivals, and then you have them face off here.
But here's the thing about that is you're right. But how many times have you and I married ourselves to a logical, through line where we're like, oh, they clearly did this because they're gonna do this, and then they just don't do it, and you're like, why the fuck did you do that? Why did you do that? Like Gato has done that shit to us so many times where like I marry myself to an idea because of something else he did that logically should feed into the next thing, and then it just doesn't. And then maybe they do get back around to it, but it's gonna happen like in a round robin G1 sort of way where you're like, what?
You're like, why now?
Why? Yeah.
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 Why you waste the good surprise on me?
I had a couple questions from Rambo and Slam Pig. It says, convince me I'm not insane for having Shota going over Yuya in the New Japan Cup Finals, or feel free to roast me for being a Shota apologist, whatever the spirit moves you to do.
I mean, that's like halfway of what we decided was going to happen.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it really matters because, I mean, either way, they're laying down on that. They're going to get
That
stretched
Boston
out
crab.
with that Boston.
Well, but okay, wait. That's got to be part of the story now, too, right? Like, what's
Tsuji starts putting the Boston Crab on all the other young generation guys.
Well, that's the thing. Like, those dudes, I don't know, there might be something there. Like, there's no story about that with Callum. There's story about that. There's a lot of backstory with Yuya and Shota. So to me, that puts those guys into the forefront a little bit more.
He can't beat them with the Boston Crab.
Well, that's the story.
They know how to get out of it. Yeah.
They know how to get out of it because they've been in his Boston Crab.
Their body is too bendy. They've developed.
They've been
scoliosis.
had crabs.
Yeah, been had it. But
they've been had crabs.
That white dude Callum, I don't know, bro. He's gonna break like a board.
He's
bro.
all beefed
humble.
up. He's all beefed up like Osprey. He's just gonna snap. We all saw that MRI or X-ray of Will's neck.
Yeah.
Cracking. Everyone's cracking.
He also asked, is there a logic behind all the first round buys that you can figure out? Wouldn't it be better just throw juniors or young lions in there to fill out the bracket if they don't have enough regular viable contenders?
We all know.
There's a million things they could have done that would have been better.
Yeah.
They could have filled them out with those guys you mentioned. They could have done dads. They could have done surprise entrance from the outside. They could have done anything. There's a lot.
Yeah. So this coming up week, Wednesday, the tournament kicks off March 4th from Corkin Hall. So you got the 2 first-round matches there. We also have the debut of a new young lion, Taisei Nakahara, who'll be taking on Tetsuya Matsumoto. Then
I want to see the white lions. Where are the white lions at ringside? Let's bring those dudes in. Kiwis.
I think they all got sent home.
No, that's not true. I saw some of them by ringside.
Yeah, Fantastica Mania.
Okay.
All right. Then Thursday, March 5th, we got more first round action. And then March 6th is the anniversary show. So along with Yoshihashi versus Jake Lee and Kalamuna versus Oscar, we'll have the junior tag titles. Ichiban Sweet Boys defend against Unbound Company's Robbie X and Taiji Ishimori. And Doki will defend the junior title against Master Wato.
It's going to be sick.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing for the anniversary show.
Yep, and then March 8th, we'll have the conclusion of the first round with Owens and Umino, Oiwa, and Ito.
What's Tsuji doing on the anniversary show?
Why? Well,
the full card's not announced yet.
Right. I was about to be like, why the fuck isn't like, why can't we just get Doki and what's his face, Tsuji? Keep up the old the tradition. But then I realized, he's defending his title. Well, then what you could do is you could do some cool shit and have like Desperado fight Tsuji in a non-title match. At least that would be something. I'm not gonna do it.
There's no plan. There's no plan for Tsuji.
Right. Tsuji's not
doing anniversary.
And it's the anniversary show.
He's going to be on the card. Or is like one of the old guys going to come out and challenge him somehow?
Nagata.
Nagata.
Breaking news.
Oh, what? Hell yeah.
Tomohiro Ishii injured. Satoshi Kojima to sub in New Japan Cup. Let's go, baby.
No, shut the fuck up.
How is that better?
Why? That's not better.
Bread Club, baby. Let's go.
This is your worst take ever in the history of the show.
My boy Kojima gonna slide in that final
Does that
form?
change anything?
It doesn't change. It definitely changes nothing about what we
Not
do.
a-
Well,
Not-
I
not for you or
I
I.
had Ishii going through. Oh man.
This is the most embarrassing thing you've ever done on this show, Jeremy.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
I wonder if he was injured on Dynamite and he muscled through that match with
It says
Oleg.
neck injury.
Oh,
He
never
doesn't
mind.
have a neck. What the? That's not real.
How do you get?
This is bullshit. I feel like I smelled Tony Khan interference where he's like, I'm going to need you in a couple weeks for Collision. I don't think I can have you out there in Japan. So, you did a very convincing job convincing everybody you're hurt. Let's just let them believe that a little bit longer and call you home. I need you to work against the conglomerate or whatever the fuck they have over there. I don't know.
Yeah. So
Callis family.
yeah. So that changes my bracket, and yeah, I'll
Can't change it now. You already submitted it.
Oh man, someone's gonna ask me what I'm doing about that in the.
I didn't want to say
Bracket
anything, but I already
challenge.
thought about it.
Oh God. Oh. I've been so laissez-faire with this bracket challenge. I'm not gonna lie. Like I put it up, I put the posts up, and I was just like, "Let's do it." And then we got a bunch of traction on it. It's been great. But now I gotta do shit. Damn it!
When Jeremy said breaking audio and Chris went hell yeah, I wanted to be like, no, that's never
Like
good.
no, you're in rough shape. Oh man. Oh
Sorry, Chris.
No.
Oh,
I don't.
man. Well,
I don't
it doesn't-
even.
It doesn't affect me. Listen, you don't have to do what we would do, but if it was me and Jeremy running this bracket like we used to many years ago, we would say, fuck y'all. You put in your bracket.
I mean, that's
If
pretty
there's no
much.
difference, Ishii and Kojima are the same status. Don't stop pretending like you were booking something different based off Kojima. Like, come on.
Did anyone pick Ishii to win this thing yet? Let me see. Nope. Nobody.
I think I'm probably the only person that had an Ishii going far in their bracket, probably.
I mean, I could. Yeah, I don't.
What you should probably do, though, all jokes aside, is you should probably allow people that were like, hey, I picked Ishii, I want to change my bracket. Maybe just let them do a second bracket.
I mean, you can already do multiple brackets.
I know you can, but in good faith, they're not supposed to.
No, that's not true. I don't say that anywhere. Put as many as you want in.
I don't fucking know. That's wrong. You can't do that.
What do I care? There is no prizes. There is nothing at stake. Just put in whatever brackets you want.
But then what if I put in a bracket for every outcome?
Great. That's do it. I don't know. AI that shit. I don't care. This is for fun. It's for fun. I am purely in the phase of my New Japan situation where I'm like, I love that I contribute to the thing, but also it ain't that serious. So if you're gonna take it that seriously, find somewhere else. If that's where I'm at with it. I don't think anyone's gonna put that much into it, but
yeah, I saw you put a post out the other day on your stories for social media. I was talking about can't we just enjoy things that we enjoy? Why do we have to monetize everything? And I was like, no, fuck that. I need to make money. Off of the things I like to do.
I enjoy this. I like to hang out with you guys. I like this community. The people in it that I've met are really great. But I'm not trying to make a big business out of it. I'm trying to, continue to do what I do and have a good time doing it. And, part of that is these contests, and I'm really proud of what I'm able to put together, but also I'm not going to do anything about this Ishii and Kojima thing tonight. I'll wake up tomorrow or tomorrow afternoon during Riley's nap time. I might poke away at it and figure out what I'm supposed to do with it. But, anyone who's got questions of it tonight, I'm going to bed when we're done here, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. That's where I'm at. I'm not panicked about it.
You could gaslight that shit and just change it all over to Kojima. Just be like,
I don't see. That's the other thing. I don't think I can. I don't know how to. I don't really know how to do this stuff. So I don't even think I can change the name in the bracket challenge, because this one is not built custom for me by Jeremy Sexton. This is one that I outsource and just use a like a bracket maker thing. So I don't know what I'm allowed to do here. So life is life. Pick Ishii if you think Kojima's gonna win. Like I'll put a note.
Funny if like someone they're like, I didn't pick Kojima. It's like, you did.
It's like you sure did. You didn't know it at the time, but you sure
didn't know.
Call somebody that ain't me. Yeah.
Well, Chris, I'm glad you're doing the contest, and it's not the way we used to do it back in the day, where people would email us their bracket, and I would hand freaking keep tallies of who won and lost with each person's bracket.
Bro, I'm here to solve all your problems, okay?
Me and Jeremy, the first couple of years, we were printing off the brackets.
And
people were emailing them to us, and we were printing them off and doing it by hand.
I don't even know if you guys know this. The first year I did this, everyone, I made it in Excel or Google Sheets, and everyone had a different sheet of on the Google Sheet of a bracket that looked like the bracket, and then I like coded. Somehow I did like a final sheet that scored it all of like who got it right, like because it had to match the one on the first page that was the right one that I was updating. And I don't know, I like hard coded it in Google Sheets, and then the next year I was like, I'm not doing that again ever again. So I'm gonna, which I was really proud of the fact that I like figured that all out. But like by that time, I knew I was going to get hundreds of entries instead of like dozens, which is what I had the first year. So I was like, I got to like figure out how to do this without, having to do anything manually. And so now I have to like go maybe do something manually. And I'm annoyed by that now because my life is very automated, y'all. Like most of the stuff takes very little effort from me at this point.
With all that being said, we're pushing up on 3 hours. Let's kick through some of this stuff. So this coming week, night 1, March 4th from Cork and Hall, we'll have tournament
all that.
Yeah,
my bad.
We're at Fantastica Mania.
I thought you guys
keep up on the rundown, brother.
Guys, I thought you guys stopped in the middle of it. My bad.
No, we're
okay. Well, with Fantastica Mania, there was 2 nights that took place this past week, or was that? No, I'm sorry. There's 3. There was the 2 from Cork and then there was the one like
Osaka.
Lead up. Yeah, in Osaka. Honestly, the big stories that were coming out of these evenings was on the first night of that week. We got the tag team tournament finals where El Sky team, Mascara Dorada and Mystico defeated Averno and Magnus 1703. And then on night 6 from Cork and Hall, the 2 big matches at the top of the card, we saw the world historic light heavyweight title change hands as Averno defeated Atlantis Jr. in a shocker, 18 minutes and 44 seconds. Mascara Dorada defeated Hechicero in the main event, 1703. And then on the final night in Cork and Hall this past Friday, we saw Averno turn around and also defeat Shomakato in his send-off match in the opener of the evening. And then the final 2 matches of the night, we saw Templario defeat Ultimo Guerrero in singles action, 13 minutes and 25 seconds. And then Mystico successfully defended the CMLL World Light Heavyweight title against Soberano Jr., 25-40. Jeremy, any broad thoughts about these or anything else that, occurred on these nights? I know I didn't talk about Tiger Mask taking on Black Tiger.
Yeah. So the tag team finals was very good. I think we all expected Sky Team to win, and they did. And that was a good final match. Then they had Cork and Hall matches. Lots of energy for both nights. The Averno win over Atlantis Jr. was very shocking because I thought the whole reason why Atlantis and Atlantis Jr. lost to those guys earlier was, all right, yeah, set this match up, but then Atlantis Jr. gets the win back and kind of, goes home with the title and the one-up. But no, Averno beats him in the tag tournament, beats him here, gets the title. So, yeah, big upset there. And then Mascara Dorada and his Hechicero was awesome. Hechicero working over the injured shoulder of Dorada the whole time, and Dorada having to kind of use his speed and flips to get out of Hechicero's holds. So that was awesome. And then, Templario versus Ultimo Guerrero. That match rocked as well. And then Mystico and Soberano Jr. Great main event. High pace, had a lot of flips. And, that Tiger Mask story that we kind of talked about, the whole reason why Magnus, was kind of healing it up, being Black Tiger, was to build that singles match. Tiger Mask gets the win. So his last Fantastica Mania, Tiger Mask gets a W.
I really, number one, I thought it was pretty awesome that they did the title change. It's pretty rare that we see title changes, even just in general. I mean, most of these titles get held for very lengthy amounts of times in Mexico. They don't get defended very regularly, and they don't change hands too often. And especially in Japan on Fantastica Mania, it's few and far between that we've ever seen any of these singles titles from Mexico change hands. The one time I'm sure there've been others, but the one that is notable that I recall was when Dragon Lee and Kamatachi, which is Hiromu, they changed their the lightweight title or whatever title it was they were contending for at the time. They did a title change many years ago, but I can't recall too many others. So that was a pretty big shocker that Averno defeated Atlantis Jr. That Mascara Dorada Hechicero match was far and away the best match of the entirety of the Fantastica Mania tour. And I highly, highly recommend you check it out if you haven't seen it. There were some sequences that they put together that were out of this world. Like, just, I don't think that there's two other guys. There might be a few small combinations, but there's very few combinations of guys that can do the fluid like sequences that they were able to piece together and still bring like the high flying technical aspects that like Hechicero, Mascara Dorada, you know, what they bring to the table here. I thought this was incredible. Like maybe one of the best all time Fantastica Mania matches that I've ever seen, honestly.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to these guys really working hard. And in the Mystico Soberano match, Mystico doing the big dive off the stage there in the hallway of Corkin. Like, he didn't have to do that here in this match. And so yeah, I thought Mystico worked really hard in that match as well.
They did that huge dive in the Dorada and Hechicero match where they went up on that makeshift entrance.
Yeah,
that was sick.
Yeah,
I've never seen them do that before. So yeah, some really, really cool stuff here. I thought that the Mystico and Soberano Jr. match was very good. Maybe a tier beneath what they might have done in, say, like Arena Mexico on a Friday, but still very, very good. And yeah, overall, this wasn't, in my opinion, this wasn't the most impactful or memorable Fantastica Mania tour ever, but some of the higher end matches really did deliver. And I would say they're worth going out of your way to cherry pick for sure.
Definitely. Well, let's go ahead and wrap things up here. Chris, why don't you go and get your plugs in one more time?
Yeah, sportofprowrestling.com. You still have time to get your bracket challenge in that I care deeply about, as I stated. Yeah, if you want to pick for right now, if you want to pick Satoshi Kojima to win a match or two, just pick it as Ishii. I'll have a note on the website about that. Otherwise, all Ishii picks will be transferred to Satoshi Kojima as of right now. But yeah, head over to sportofprowrestling.com. We would love to have you. It's fun. I do a lot of updates over the course of the tournament and shout people out. So hopefully anyone who wants to will get in on that. But yeah, otherwise, thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it. And so yeah, by the time that most of you are hearing this, I should be having my son in my hand. So for real, I will not be here next week. So it'll be Josh, and I don't know if you got anybody lined up to host for you next week.
Yeah, we've had a couple people reach out. I will come back with updates. Looking forward to, it sounds like at least the next 2 weeks, maybe 3, depending on, you know, how things shake out for you. But at least for the next 2 weeks, I'll be holding down the fort. So,
alrighty. So remember, if you want to watch our show live without ads, you can sign up at patreon.com/KIStrongstyle. You can also make a donation by visiting socialplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure to connect with us on social media on X and Blue Sky. Follow us at KIStrongstyle, at socialplex, at Jeremy L. Donovan, and at YB_Josh and Liger. On Facebook, follow us at facebook.com/socialplex. On Reddit, on the Total Black Guy, just Keeping It Strong Style. On YouTube, we're at socialplex. And join our Discord server to interact with us and other wrestling fans. You can also email me, Jeremy, at socialsuplex.com. And check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Issue Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. All Things Elite with Floyd and Austin. Imps, AEW Adventure. Wrestling Art with Chris Sings. Tunnel Talk with Allie and Leah. Trish and Say Our Wrestling Podcast. And Joshying Around with Tim and Eric. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we'll catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.